Boogie.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Real Fish Talk numeral 32, I believe. 32.
I don't know how to do the sign language for 32.
Yeah. Tuno is like this, though. That's right. That's.
Oh,
My mic stand just arrived. Perfect timing.
perfect timing.
We were hoping for a new mic stand, and I said it would show up 12 minutes after the show ended. Oh no, 12 seconds into the show
12
with
seconds.
a doorbell. That's always good. But let's start off with a super chat from, my screen scrolled. Here we go. Alexandru. $20. Let's draw those Amazon swords. That reminded me, it would have been way cooler if we were holding Amazon swords and dueling.
Oh, now I get it.
Yeah.
Oh.
Once my brain kicked in, I was
I was like, oh, we're going to start drawing. Let's do some drawings.
yeah. At first, I
Yeah.
was like, why would we draw them? I'm like, wait, we could have pulled it from like a sheath. It would have been amazing.
That would have been cool.
We're gonna do that video sometime.
Yeah, why not?
We'll tribute it to you. Maybe we'll put it on Patreon.
I'm going to write it down here. Alexandru
Sword
F. Sullivan.
fight. We can do that for Patreon. That'd be good. So anyway, we're talking about aquascaping. Delayed from last Tuesday because we didn't have the time to get the videos done. So you'll see even in the video, like, Kaylee's in the video. Like, what?
What?
Huh? It's because we did it after that show, which was a week ago. We had meant to have it done for Thursday, but that was a wicked brutal schedule that couldn't get done.
Yeah.
So now you got it today. We did two 29-gallon tanks. They're in the studio, so we'll get to see how they do long term. And just saying that, I really remembered I was supposed to dose those tanks last week, and I haven't done it yet. So they have no fertilizer yet. But I don't want to ruin it, but your tank was purling. It was on fire. It was doing good. Yeah. So mine, I'm not sure it could purl. I'm not sure there's technically light there.
Even if it was, I don't think you could even tell.
Yeah. It's. I don't want to ruin it. So.
I don't want to ruin it either. I was going to give it a name.
Yeah, you can't even give it a name at this point.
It's going to be from Labyrinth, though. I'm going to write it down here.
Pleco Nation with a $5 super chat. Thank you, buddy. We appreciate that. When it comes to aquascaping, I'm a guy that typically never uses wood. And it's because I hate tannins. No. I don't like tannins in most of my tanks.
You hate tannins?
Yeah. I mean, I love what they do. And you can heal fish with them. I love all that.
Yeah.
But if given a choice, I prefer crispy, clean, clear water and wood, whether it's like tannins in the water or not. Even when you got a pleco or something munching on it, you just got like wood fiber mulm all around in the water column. And I was very happy. If you guys missed my live stream last night, I did a little impromptu one playing with XSplit, getting on Joel's realm.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I saw that.
But at one point,
I tuned in. I tuned in. You put me to shame.
I put you to shame?
Yeah.
Why?
I
How?
felt all super good about my live stream yesterday because I had like 200 people on there.
Oh.
And then you just randomly get on at some random time.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, there's 500 people watching that.
My
That's cool.
bad.
I'm going to go, I'm just going to go cry.
Well, 500
Over
people
here.
got to watch my flagtail brachylotus deliver a massive poop on air. So much so the people were tagging in the comments, and then other people like had to go watch it, and then they were like, "Oh my god, did you see that?" And so I was happy that was caught on camera.
A hearty BM, if you will.
Yes.
Yeah.
Happy to see it caught on camera because now people can understand what I'm dealing with when I'm trying to get all the fines out of the water. They're going, wait a second, that thing just pooped out an African cichlid. You know, like that thing was massive.
Yeah.
It was definitely doing some crop dusting over there. And, I don't prefer the taste of Krispy Kreme. I actually think those donuts are kind of terrible.
Krispy Kremes?
They're fine off like the factory line when they're still warm. Otherwise,
Some people got to remember.
they're just like another a donut.
Some people got to remember we're up here in the, what no one here refers to as the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah.
We've got some gangster donut
Yeah.
places.
I guess I haven't thought about the other places aren't well donated.
Like, have you ever been to Legendary Donut?
No.
Oh, I should get some of those for you on Sunday. Speaking of Sunday.
What's going on Sunday? Oh, yeah. On Sunday. I was like, what are you
Yeah.
talking about? We are well, yeah, I say we. Sunday we'll be down in Portland, Oregon, near Gresham, I'm told, is the meeting spot. I'm doing a presentation on Guppies. That's what they chose. And so I'll be speaking at Earholes on Guppies, and we're kind of doing a meetup. I'm trying to convince Aquapros to show up. I convinced this man to go with me. Do you know if... What's up?
Can I come?
Sure. I assumed it was your day off. You didn't want to come.
Sounds fun.
Jimmy says he told me he didn't want to come until we were on the show.
Yeah.
And now he wants to go.
Now he's just wanting to make me look bad.
yeah.
Didn't you say I had to sit in the dungeon all day? Like, what? What are you talking about?
We should have Jimmy. Jimmy should come.
Yeah, for sure.
Vicky Tori is going to come.
Good. I don't know if my wife has... We don't know if she has a day off yet, I think, or something crazy.
Yeah.
I don't know. But we'll get a big old train of us driving down, and hopefully Aquapros will show up. I'll do a presentation at like 3 o'clock. That'll last for like 6 minutes. And then after that, we'll hang out. And I would guess, this is my guess. My guess is...
Your presentation can be like, this is a guppy.
Yes.
Here.
But I want it to be like... It needs to be like a GIF.
Like make it all super awkward. Just
It needs to be a GIF in like 180 resolution where it's just like, wait, that was like blocks. That was a guppy? Like,
You
oh,
just-
yes.
You just pop on like an old forum and like read it off on your cell phone.
Yeah.
Average temperature for a guppy is 68 to 78 degrees.
Or it says 29 Celsius.
KH and GH.
So I expect we'll probably go out to eat somewhere afterwards just because we'll be hungry and the 4-hour drive home is a little daunting. I mean, it's only like probably like 3 for you, right? I figure my crew drives down to your house and then we see if we can combine into one car. If we can't, then we just all drive.
Figure it out.
Yeah, we figured it out.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Um,
Yeah, come on down to my place. We'll have some breakfast and then Road Warrior.
will we stream the talk on Sunday? No idea. So there's a couple of factors. One, we'd have to get permission from the club. So that's a thing. 2, we'd have to have decent internet. 3, someone like Jimmy would, or Victoria would have to, or you would have to agree to do it because it's not fun. I've done it before. Like usually you kind of brace your body and you hold it. And by the end of a presentation, you've got like the sweatiest elbow and like this claw that's sore for the rest of the day.
I've
Like
seen that cell phone, the cell phone gimbal with the little monopod legs on it.
we've done that kind of stuff, you know, but then it looks weird and people around you are weird. They're like, should I be quiet? And you're just like,
Yeah.
yes, but you know, don't you see there's a tripod here with microphones and doodads?
Doodads.
Yeah. So,
Doodads aplenty.
but yeah, show up if you can. You know, obviously if you're, you know, not from Portland or at least Oregon, it doesn't make some sense. But yeah. All right, let's grab that super chat and then should we roll the video? Is that what we're gonna do? But
Are we gonna roll the video early or there's a super chat there we gotta get
we're
to?
gonna do a super chat.
Well, Lumpy Dog just said Corey has a crew. I knew he was a fish godfather. Well, I'm older than Corey, so I'm his godfather. But I'm in the crew, the Mabu crew, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Or am I not? Did I
Did
get
you
kicked out
Did
already?
you get the tattoo yet? I wasn't sure if the tattoo had been confirmed. So
I've got some tattoos I should show you.
you'll
at some
know when
point.
you're out of it though, because we have to beat you on the way out. It's like a gang.
I get beat up on the way out?
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
That's the only way out.
That's a threat.
As
Yeah.
Jimmy said, you get jumped out, apparently.
All right.
So, Trent Weldon, another order of plants from you for my new Aqua Puffer tank. You guys are the best. Thank you much. Hopefully,
Actually-
he doesn't go Captain Insane on him.
Actually, I'd say you're the best for having a Fahaka puffer tank. That's dope.
I still have never
Nice
kept
work.
one in person. I mean to.
Someday.
Kept tons at stores.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You get there. Why not?
Yeah. I keep bringing
Why not,
home
Corey? You'll
booze.
get there someday. Come on.
Maybe right there.
Maybe
It'll
in
never
the back.
be right there.
No.
Nope. Denise says, hello from wintry western Maryland.
Maryland.
Maryland. I always say Maryland.
I like Maryland.
Yeah. So happy to be here. Got my plants from the co-op today. Super impressed. That's 2 for 2.
That's 2 for 2.
We were having... I know my shipping team put a thing on our little communication thing that, like, there's a couple of states where stuff is getting delayed. And so we're putting in extra heat packs to prevent that. Like, we had a couple of plants not ship well. We had to reship them, but most of the other countries doing awesome. So, is Dean here? Is that what? What did Dean have to say?
He said that you should give him the 3 baby super guppies so we can make more before they are gone.
All right, I'll do that, Dean. For real. Like, I know Dean. Yes.
Oh.
Dean has made me a lot of guppies before.
Well, that frees up my tank then. Now I can add
right.
special fish.
I think you should add a
I'm going to lose out on the voting now because I could have had special fish in there. What was that?
I honestly don't know what that was.
What was that?
Like, I would literally be like, is Frank Dominguez in the attic? Is that
Frank's in the attic?
Maybe the heron just landed on the roof.
I heard it earlier. I heard
that
the heron.
Seriously sounded like something landed on the roof.
It did. It probably was the heron. I heard it out there
Yeah.
doing its pterodactyl noises. And I was like, it's lurking in the sky. I don't know where it is.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, everyone help me convince Dean and Joel and anyone I know to come to Peru, which I realize convincing is the wrong word because it takes money, but rally the troops to figure out who needs to go and then how we can get them there.
That's my only issue right now. Because Friday I go to renew my passport, or next Friday. I go to renew my passport.
Your issue is what then?
I can't afford it.
Oh, well, that's why I said my only issue, and I need
the
like
only
3
issue.
things. So I was like, which one?
Well, I had 2, but one of them's getting rectified on coming up this Friday because I have to get a new passport.
I think it would take.
Sorry, my passport status was lowered.
I think it takes about $3,000, right?
T5.
It's like to shoehorn your way into something like that. I think the ticket's like $1,500 and the trip's like $1,500.
Yeah, probably somewhere around there. Yeah.
And we got how many months? July. We got 5 months.
Middle of July.
That means we'd have to raise like $600 or $700 a month to pull that off, but we'd have to prepay for it way earlier.
I'm gonna have to sell a kidney again.
Yeah.
We've only got 1 left.
Worth it.
I sold the other one.
Well, I talked to Michael Barber on today. He's like, dude, call me. And I was like, oh, God, what I do wrong?
Michael Barber.
He's the guy that is running the show down there.
Oh, right.
So he's finally,
Excuse me, like,
we were doing emails back and forth, and then now he's like, call me. And I was like, oh, God, no. But once I started talking with that guy, it sounds like a paradise. He's like, well, what do you guys want to do? He's like, we can rent this B&B over here, and then you can go like way up into the, what is it? I might quote the wrong mountains. I'm bad at this. The Andes, right? I think that's what he said. Go up in the Andes.
Right.
And he's like, there's a spot where there's like a waterfall and this little like tide pool thing. And then at one point he said, but you got to remember, it's winter, so it's going to be wicked cold. And I'm like, wait, I've been planning for it to be like 1 billion degrees. Like, that doesn't seem right. But apparently, when you go up 15,000 feet, snow.
Yeah, always.
Real cold, yeah.
Always.
So we got to go way up
I tell
there.
you, well, let's see. Vicky and I, we were at 13,000 feet.
Yeah, he said 16 to 17,000.
In our summer time. And there was 4 feet of snow on the ground.
Yeah, so this is...
The road was clear, though.
More thousands of feet higher.
Right.
So, yeah, that would be kind of... But he said, like, the views are insane. He's like, he's... The one thing that triggered, I remember he said, like, you can see the blah-blah-blah. Like, I don't remember all the descriptors, but the glaciers, like the moving glaciers. And I was like, huh? Like, in the middle of the Amazon? That sounds awesome. So, yeah, I'm a little bit extra jazzed about that today after talking to him. And he's like, do you want to go over here and collect? Do you want to do this? What do you want to do? And I'm like, I told him, I just want to document everything as much as I can via film. And then if it's super awesome, I want to go back like several times a year and just document more things.
Okay.
So I'm hoping that if like we shoot it and then people book like every trip they've ever had next year, they'd be like, sweet, man, you can come for free. You got to buy your own plane ticket, but then maybe it only costs me $1,500 and I could just film and promo them and just, he was telling me a story because I was like, well, I feel like there's information out there. Like, you can see the fish under the water and stuff. But I feel like the story's not getting told. And he's like, you're totally right. This one time, well, not this one time, but he's like, not too long ago, there was a guy collecting, I can't remember the name of the lake, because he knows all this stuff at the back of his hand. He's like, oh, yeah, we're over at, I think it was Oxford Lake. I think it said Oxford Lake. And he's describing this middle-aged guy who just screams with excitement, and it turns out he had caught a 99-cent neon tetra in the wild.
Like all super excited.
Yeah, but just like jazzed out of his mind. And I was like, yeah, see, that's the story that would make people like want to go do that.
Yeah,
like,
why not?
It's one thing just to see stuff underwater. It's another thing to like see the joy on people's face. So, but all that storytelling got me jazzed. I'm like, oh man.
Yeah.
And then we talked about immunizations and stuff. So I got to get yellow fever immunized.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure I'm up to date on tetanus.
Mm-hmm.
And then diphtheria.
Mm-hmm.
And where we're going, supposedly, don't need to worry about malaria.
The tetanus shot is the diphtheria shot. It's
Oh,
a
is it the
Tdap.
same thing?
Yeah, same thing.
Oh, yeah, okay. Well,
Yeah.
then, not too many things that I have to get done. And he said most of the things, like, there's not really, where we're going, not really a mosquito problem, that type of thing. So,
Right.
sounds cool anyway. Jimmy's got a pocket dehumidifier. Oh, man. So many jokes I could probably come up with. All right, let's roll the video.
We're all in the video?
Let's roll the video.
All right. Well, hey, we got to do the lead into the
Hold on.
video.
Oh, okay.
How are we going to do the vote? We got to figure out who's
vote?
the winner.
Here's how I think we do the vote. I
have to admit that the thumbnail is pretty competitive just in its own right.
Yeah.
It's a versus.
Yes.
And so there has to be some kind of, like, payoff.
Oh, there's a payoff?
No,
Like-
I mean, just like, even a pat on the back. I mean, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
there just has to be some kind of...
I don't know what the winner gets. The winner gets...
Well, no, I mean, just the winner is just the winner.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Like, you
infinite
don't like
voting
you're
rights.
going to get anything.
Yeah.
I mean, get that Reese's peanut butter cup.
Yes, there is a Reese's Peanut Butter Cup on the table. I think the way we
Thinking
vote
about it.
is this. So that it's fair.
Mm-hmm.
All right? The voting happens. We post a poll once the video uploads. Like on the video, you can have the iCard drop down. We'll put it at like the 0-second mark. So as soon as people click in, it's going to ask for a vote. Or maybe we do it at the video. I don't know. But that, so people have to come back and they can vote. And that way we can track
How
it.
many minutes in are we?
17 minutes in.
Jimmy. Oh, we're 17?
Yeah.
Okay, so at the 17-minute mark,
All right.
we'll bring the little vote down thing.
So people can vote, and then most votes win.
Yeah.
But the goal would be, if you're listening right now, don't vote yet. If this is in the future,
In the future.
and if you're on the podcast right now, know that you'll have to make an account and log in to vote.
Oh,
Cause
no, we should probably do it after the video, huh?
that's what I'm saying.
Well, shoot. I
Yeah,
wrote
yeah.
down 17. Now
That's why I was
no
either
good.
at the beginning, because anyone that's watching it right now, they're gonna be like, I don't want to.
Luckily, I know how long.
It.
I know how long the thing is,
Yeah.
so I'm gonna write it down here.
So
Gets my kidney.
winner gets Jimmy's kidney, which can be sold so that someone can go to Peru.
Someone can go to Peru.
Okay. But anyway, you vote on the poll afterwards. That
Mm-hmm.
way you can hear both sides of our story and why we chose it. Because I think that's important.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, I got no chance. Like, if you just show two pictures, I auto lose.
Oh, so you have to like tell a story.
Well, I'm just saying that, like, once they see all the Legos I use, there's no way I can win.
Well, the Legos work. The Legos
I
play.
mean, in my mind, they
the
work.
Legos play.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly. They play. They're in play.
I don't
I'm
even
good.
know what this video is, so I think you're just gonna make fun of me the whole time.
That's.
Or I think
the
it's
goal.
possible that I'm just making fun of myself.
I was gonna say, I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm not sure I have to say anything for that to happen. This may be one of those times when we told Joel, "Don't worry, we'll edit it all out," and
Oh,
we
yeah.
just kept it all in.
Oh yeah, they just left
And
it
then
all in
mine
there.
was done like straight face serious.
very, very serious.
Yes. So, all right. I say we
We might as
roll
well
in.
just roll the clip, and I'm gonna see what people in the chat say. Maybe they like it, maybe they don't.
Yeah.
It's
Who knows?
it's apparently named my seiryu garden.
Here it goes.
All right, here we go.
See, I don't even know when the video's playing.
Now it is. Now it's in the right hand.
Is there music playing right
No,
now?
it's just us.
Meow 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 meow.
I don't have music skills.
While you getting in escape,
There's Kaylee.
Kaylee.
She was shocked. That first cloud, he grabbed the wrong substrate.
I did grab
Hadn't
the
been
wrong
washed.
substrate. I grabbed a
Or washed.
50-pound bag instead of a 100-pound bag.
Yeah, he doesn't know his own strength.
I have so much power. I got so much power, you guys. It's just unbelievable.
What kind of rock do you go with?
Sierra stone. Actually, that's a seiryu stone from the aquarium co-op. I snuck in the back door
That's
and
right.
stole it.
Ooh,
with-
seiryu stone activates people's Siri on their phone. That's a good,
Oh,
good
it
thing
does?
to know. That's what someone just said. So,
Seiryu just activated.
so we started with the 29s. They're going to be side by side. Mine is on the left there. That you can see that's the starting point of nothing. And he had a similar tank. It had a few plants in it, but the goal was that they could be serviceable, and we could scrape down algae if we needed to, and that they had to be different.
They had to be that was the big
That
thing.
would have been dumb.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, we both put 15 pounds of seiryu stone into a tank. Which one was better?
Right.
You know.
So I built some. A lot of the layout actually just has to do with like where the. I was about to call it a bubbler, but the sponge filter.
Yep.
Where the sponge filter lands, and then where the sponge filter is on the hang-on back on this little tank. As you guys know, I'm not super versed in doing tiny tanks these days, right? But I am super versed at getting crazy.
I know.
I'm
He
pretty
lost
good.
his mind during the Scape, and it was hilarious.
Uh-oh.
At this point,
This is the point where you have to remember.
I didn't have scissors.
You have to taste it. You have to taste it to make sure it's good.
That's right. Coming from the chef.
Are these
in you,
plants good? Are these
Yeah.
plants good?
You wanted
Should
to
I
make sure.
taste them? Well, and it's one of those things that, Corey doesn't have scissors.
I didn't have scissors at the ready. He said, "Don't worry, I have some."
And if you haven't seen me, I recently posted a video of actually getting some scissors in at my place.
You did, yeah.
Yeah, I got some. So I've moved into the 21st century.
He's using some tweezle twazzles right now to
Tweezle
plant the
twazzles?
baby tears.
The ribble rabbles.
Not dwarf baby tears, normal baby tears.
Those are normal baby tears. We don't want super high maintenance here.
No, we don't have the light for that.
And actually, the light on there's
It's decent, but
it's decent, but it's not quite good enough for the dwarf baby tears. But the standard issue ones, they grow up, and it would be pretty easy to trim them down to like the 3-inch mark. Just
Yeah.
kind of go right through
I'm gonna make you do it.
and knock them down. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
They really take no time. So
So this would be like the next day when we filmed, like, because after it settled out a little bit, so you can kind of see some of the crypts, some of the Anubias. You've got manzanita wood in there that you tucked in to. Well, obviously you saw the Anubias on it.
I glued some Anubias to that manzanita wood, and then I kind of built it out so that you wouldn't see the sponge that's on the hang on the back
Yeah.
as well. But you could still just grab it right off of there from the left hand side, or from your utilizing
the
your
one
left hand.
female being left in all her epic glory.
Like that.
It's a paradise for her babies now.
Yeah.
Like, it can definitely allow for some growth at this point of babies. That's some Stargania repens. I'm interested to see if that comes through Scarlet Temple. Although I got to get some fertilizer in there because not much is going to come through if I don't.
Well, I did use a bunch of root tabs.
Oh yeah, you loaded up with root tabs. I myself did not.
Yeah, so I loaded this up with root tabs, used that kind of inert substrate. I don't remember the name of it.
I liked how all the rocks were facing.
What do
the
you
same
what do you guys
way.
call that substrate?
The super sand.
The super sand.
Corey's blackwater tank. I went polar opposite. So first, I went and grabbed a bunch of cool pieces of wood.
Yeah, you grabbed all of.
Well, I grabbed
the cool
like
ones.
one piece, and then my employee was like, "We have more wood like that," and I was like, "Oh yeah." And so you can see, like, wait, there's another piece of wood that sticks up, and I was gonna leave it with just the two, and then I was like, "Well, I got this other piece," and then I was like, "Oh, it doesn't really fit. Like, I don't like this look." But when you're standing there, it looked terrible in this close-up view. But from far away, these three pillars look awesome, and it covers up the sponge. And now, I think it looks amazing. Like, I think it looked really good, and then it looked way better once I got the plants in. So that's a Pontigeton alvaceus, and that's going to grow like a weed and get really big and have these curly leaves, and it's low light, which is important because I just jammed this 29 full of a bunch of wood, and I'm going to make it blackwater. So there's going to be tannins, like tons of tannins in this water. So if it can't live under low light, it's not going to live. The buse got jammed in between two pieces of wood there, and that was some crypt spiralis. So that's going to be
Your plant came unplanted.
I know. because I didn't use any twizzle twazzles.
You need the tweezle twazzles. Where
Yeah,
are
I
they?
was using these giant man hands that don't. They're not as elegant as the twizzle twazzles. But we do ship wood like this out. By the way, we do like what you see is what you get. You can see these pieces. These happen to be pieces that were too big to ship, and they were over in a pile. And I was like, sweet, I'll do that. But I'm still planting crypts here. Lots of sporellas. I like the tall, leafy stuff. And the reason why I wanted this tall stuff is because we've got the wild caught bettas in here, and I want them to be able to spit babies, and that's why I went blackwater. Is I want them to not chase their babies down, and there to be lots of, I guess, healing properties after they beat on each other. There's a bunch of catappa leaves. I dropped a 10-pack in there because I really wanted it to be brown. I didn't realize it was going to make it like
It's Ultra Brown Town.
space black, can't see anything dark.
It's Brown Town up in there.
Yeah,
It's
so
tea.
now you can see here, those are all the crypts. They haven't converted yet. I just grabbed some new ones, so they have to convert still, which, like in Joel's tank, you could have seen we had some that were converted already. But it is super brown in there. Like, it's wicked, wicked brown. Those are some Rasbora SBIs, and the SBIs are in there just to bring the Alba Marginata. That's a female right there. There's a male, and they colored up a lot more once I put the tannins in. They really brought on the white bands and everything, which I'm in love with that fish, obviously. I've bred them in the past, and I want to breed them again, so that's why I ended up bringing them home. And they're super cool, and I went with super tannins. So they are 2 aquascapes, but, like, it depends. Do you like that tannin look? I got a chance. If you don't, I feel like there's no chance. The pieces of wood are cool, and the plants will fill in. But if you're not a fan of the brown, I don't think I got it. Because your tank, I'm looking at it right now, crispy, clear, and clean right next to it.
That's right. Mine's crispy and clean and super dope.
The Lagoon says, what happened to hating tannins? Nothing. I still hate tannins.
I still hate them.
But I love fish more.
But you did a blackwater tank.
Like, I'm a breeder at heart, and I know that the fish color up.
I was thinking about doing the 240 as a blackwater tank and just drive you nuts. And just constantly post videos about it all the time.
Oh, man. It would drive me nuts, but
And
somehow...
then just play like... ah, you know?
Yeah.
And then just get the pan shots in the dark tea all the time.
Yeah.
No more I love you.
I
You know
do
that song?
like catfish tanks
a good song.
or blackwater.
That's a dope song. Remember that song?
Yes.
It was a good song.
It's a good song.
Dean said it's going to be super acidic.
It's going to be super acidic? Yeah. Well, part of the problem is we're still doing auto water changes every day, so it will alleviate some of that. But yes, I do like it being acidic for those guys, and really I wanted the catappa leaves in there. They're going to break down and provide some fry food for the betta right when they come out, like from their mouth, because they're mouth brooders. And
Right.
so mine is a functional setup, and I don't think we really showed it on this video, which I did a whole dedicated video of setting this tank up because I had more time, and so I didn't put that out on purpose because I didn't want to skew the results. Like, if you could hear my 20-minute long video on why I did everything, that's not fair compared to us each getting 3.5 minutes and just talking about.
Well, you
what we
also
got
had
going
to do the unboxing video with Rob and I in it.
Yeah,
We were in there with the goldfish.
that's right.
How are those goldfish doing?
Good.
I'm excited.
Yeah, I don't think. Well, knock on wood.
I haven't
don't think
checked
we
on
lost a single pea puff or anything like that. That was a good shipment. Usually
cool.
you lose at least a few.
I like them
So
pea poofers.
yeah. So what else? What sales pitch you got for your tank? Like, you got any more info about why or what?
Nah,
Nah, that's it.
I'm just let them vote. I don't have
Alright.
a sale pitch.
So we'll have.
I don't have to do a sales pitch. Seems like everybody that ever watches my show is all saying, sorry, I got to vote for Corey anyhow because they like the Blackwater tank. So, I mean, my sales pitch is like, hey, man, if you like it, vote for it. If you don't, vote for it anyhow.
All right.
Oh, yeah. Hit the subscribe button
That's
and
right.
the like button or whatever.
Do other things. I like. Truth be told, at
I hit
the
the-
moment, from
just-
looking at both of them side by side, from here, I prefer the seiryu stone scape. That being said, late at night when all these lights are dimmed down, I prefer the blackwater scape because it really glows. And then what I love, and this is part of the problem, is like I love that the bettas actually come out in that brown water, but they were just hiding the whole time before. So It's not. That's not really like I don't love it for the scape. I love it for the fish coming out, which
Right.
the scape accomplished that. But I think a lot of people forget that. Like I watch a lot of people start an aquarium and they start by scaping it, where I like to start by like, what am I going to keep? Okay, then I'll scape it for that. Like my 800 gallon. If I had done some elaborate scape and then I'm going to dump monster clown loaches in there, like that's a waste of time. So that's why like my big log is hollow, thinking, oh yeah, they're going to hide inside it. That's intentional.
Yeah.
Where I watch just a lot of people go, okay, it's done. Now what am I going to put in there?
Right.
So.
No, yeah. I'm going to be, I'm personally skewed towards blackwater tanks anyhow. So.
Something wrong with you.
I just don't like how you scaped yours. It just look.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Probably because you stole all the wood. I mean, my story is very personal. I have a personal take on it because I was there. So it'd be like, hey, vote for me. But there is no prize. There's just
infinite bragging rights.
Infinite bragging rights.
Yeah. I mean, we may have to have like every show from now on.
I'm going to be doing
banner over the top.
I'm going to be doing work on my 150 very soon.
You're doing work on the 60 gallon right now, right? That's what I watched yesterday.
Listen, man, I'm doing all sorts of work, but I'm going to do work on.
How about you invite me over and I scape one of your tanks?
Sure. You just have to grab a 120.
I got to bring the 120 and the supplies, right?
No.
Oh.
But that's the only tank that's changing is the 120 or the 75 that's Vicky's. Someday is going to be 120. I finally found one, and then it was just I'm pretty sure somebody was selling their ex's tank.
Oh.
You know what I mean?
Did it like have carved like "Why'd you cheat on me" or something?
Or it was definitely weird vibe. I was like, I'm not gonna buy that. Sorry.
You don't want the bad juju that comes with it.
No.
Yeah. So yeah, you vote once the video has been uploaded. So what that means is when the show's done at 5 o'clock, it's going to take some time to render. Let's say it's 20 minutes. After that, you can place your vote, and we'll let it run till like next Tuesday. Give people a week. I don't know, like.
Michael Ellis is saying you should invite George Farmer.
Invited.
He's already been invited.
If you're in the chat.
If you're in the chat recommending who should come on the show, I want you to save that thought and go to their channel and send them a message.
Yeah,
because
it actually has worked.
Yeah, that's going to be the best way to do it.
We've got a few people that are like, someone said I should contact you guys, and we're like, oh yes, now that we can talk to you, yes, you should, and here's what we want to do, because the problem is like when we reach out, they're just like, what? It falls on deaf ears. But if they're like normal watchers are like, yeah, collaborate with this guy, then at least then we can go, yeah, here's what we do. It's a little crazy. So we lined up one we might do a weird collaboration-y type thingy, which I haven't mentioned to you fully yet, but like if we do the long drive to New Jersey, it makes sense to do that collaboration. If we fly there, doesn't really make sense. But if we do the drive, it does. So we're starting to plan some of those things out. They're not going to be on the show because it doesn't make sense for them to come on the show. But we do have some equipment now where we can take this show on the road. Not really video, but we can do that podcast version.
Yeah.
That'd be kind of cool. What if we did an episode where we took all the recording gear, like the sound gear, set it up on someone's kitchen table, have a 2-hour conversation, but we have Jimmy filming for like 2 hours.
Oh yeah, we're gonna do that. That's the whole point.
Yeah.
That was like one of the whole reasons that we're able to do this like podcast format is
Traveling
that
road
we're gonna
show.
end up going places. So it's good to
because 2 hours of footage, like Jimmy would get us laughing, he'd get us eating, he'd get all their tanks, he'd get all those things, and it would be like that's actually almost like a cooler. That's almost like a better show. I mean, it's way more work. Like, oh yeah, Jimmy, just whip us up 2 hours worth of video, please.
Yeah.
Like that. It's an immense amount of work for Jimmy, but I think that could be like a rock star episode. That's cool. So yes, maybe we will have to do traveling sideshow.
I'm gonna need another camera.
We'll get you one eventually.
# Canon's tripping.
I don't think Canon's. I think Flu Ball is more likely to give in. By the way, guys, did you see?
Flu Ball's tripping.
Now that we're far enough into the video, they'll never know we're talking about them.
That's right.
But did you see they retweeted my Fluval heater video.
Oh, they did? Fluval did?
Yeah.
Oh.
And they were like, hey, man, you got any other videos or reviews of our stuff? And I'm thinking, clearly you guys have no idea how much we've talked about
I have
you.
no idea.
The other video I did on your Fluval 2.0, and that we've been saying Fluval's tripping for the past 3 months straight. Like but hey, we're at least on their radar, and a couple of you guys clued in, and then like replied to their tweet with hashtag Fluval's tripping. So
Fluval's tripping.
it was kind of awesome. But so maybe we're making some headway. I don't want to say that we are, but maybe we are. I hope. That's kind of a fun thing. So
Yeah, we'll see. There was a point where we might have to just go there in person and be like, hey, are you Fluval? And they'd be like, yes. And be like, you're tripping.
I'm like, huh?
They'd be like, what? I'm like, that's right. You heard me.
Don't make me say it again.
Don't make me say it one more time.
What if we can get people to band together and like you guys donate some money? You donate.
I have no
some
idea
money.
what Jimmy's doing right now.
Doing next level stuff.
He's confusing
I
me.
can tell what he's doing. Jimmy's making wizards over there. Anyway, we get people to band together some money. We need like $100, and then we have a bunch of custom fortune cookies made, and then we send them to Fluval, and each one when they crack it open just says hashtag Fluval's tripping.
Well, that'd be weird.
And they're just like, why is there a giant box? What are we gonna do with these? You just have to eat them, right?
I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know how to do that.
I had custom fortune cookies made as a promo for
you
the
did?
Aquarium Co-op once, like for a Greater Seattle Aquarium Society thing. And it was kind of cool. Like I did all the corny sayings like, you will find eternal happiness at Aquarium Co-op. That type of thing. It was kind of cool.
It is cool.
Unfortunately, I bought like 40 billion fortune cookies, and everyone was way tired of fortune cookies. So that's why I know you only need about $100 worth. You don't need 40 billion. So
40 billion.
40 billion too much.
From Warren, Ohio was trying to call me. I think Rob was trying to call.
It had to be, right?
Yeah.
I would
I
assume
didn't know anybody
so.
else from Warren.
Was Rob calling you?
Yeah,
Maybe
it
he
was
wants to
from
be on the
Warren.
show. Text him.
Was he calling the show?
My phone.
Oh.
Text him and ask, Rob, you're on air. What can we do for you, buddy?
Welcome to the Real
He's
Fish
gonna be
Talk.
like, so what's the button you press on PUBG to make it do this thing?
Right. Right. How do I drop my weapon on PUBG? Yeah.
Yeah.
He's gaming,
So.
probably.
Now officially showing the screen. Oh, he left me a voicemail.
Ooh.
Oops.
Yeah, that didn't. There we go.
There we go.
Look at that. You can see.
Oh, you knocked it over.
There we go.
Yeah.
There you go.
That's bat phone technology.
You've got
like
it
real.
inverted. You need to invert it. Because that's Corey's tank.
Oh, yeah.
That's Corey
Let's
tank.
see if wizards can do that. You show me that.
That one's my tank. I made it. It's super good.
Learning on the fly, nothing better. That's what we excel at.
Yeah, just do it while
Yeah.
the show is live. Why not?
So, does anyone have any aquascaping questions? I feel like we've shown our tanks. I guess there's some tips, some aquascaping tips that are going to come out on Thursday on my channel from AquaPros, and I don't want to ruin those, but one of our, tips, I guess, is just spend a lot of money on hardscape.
That's the tip.
Because it's buying your way through it. Like, if you just have more cool things, it's easier than like, oh, I spent $11, I got one stone, I really got to make it look cool. It's hard to do.
Well, yeah. I mean, I would agree with that, and I've definitely had a lot of people wonder. They've asked me like, what's the best thing to do, and I always boil it down to like, you got to have patience. Patience is definitely going to be the biggest thing, and part of having patience is going, I'm going to get the right substrate, I'm going to get the right plants, I'm going to get the right rocks, I'm going to get all that stuff set up ahead of time. And that's a big part of patience, is going like, look, I got to get a lot of the stuff ahead of time so that I'm ready to go, so I can actually put this together the way I want to and have it look the way you want it to.
Yeah.
Whereas, nowadays there's a huge market for people that are like, look, I want to figure out how to do this like the cheapest way possible or whatever, which I always find to be kind of an entertaining take on, It's like an entertaining take on like how people think that it's like, well, I understand that like this is going to cost like $300, but I want to figure out how to do it for $3. And then it's a disaster. Right.
Well, I think it's like the best way I could probably do it or explain the analogy is like I'm not an artist.
Right.
Right? And you are an artist.
No.
In my opinion, you're an artist.
Ugh.
And
Drag.
if I see you paint something and I'm like, let's say I want to do it, I know I'm like, oh man, you have, like I think you said before, it's like hundreds or thousands of dollars worth of paints and brushes and stuff. So even if I had the skills, I still would need all that equipment. And so I know from most things in my life, if you're going to be able to, let's say it takes you $1,000 worth of stuff to make that painting, you know, just like, because I've got the whole color palette, I've got all these brushes, all that stuff, to be able to do something like as good as you're doing it might take an artist that's 50 times better than you, but they're only going to spend $100. Like you got to make up for it with skill. So like if you're Takashi Amano, you probably can go, oh yeah, you see those rocks over there in that pile behind that woodshed? Yeah, bring them over here. And he can make that look amazing because he's worked and done that stuff a billion times. Whereas someone like let's say, that haven't done it a billion times, it's much easier for me to go, oh, those rocks naturally look cooler and have more character. I should probably buy those instead of just round stones.
Right.
So.
Well, yeah. So it's like, but I feel like here's the example of. So like my 240, right? Mm-hmm. Like, so I initially scaped my 240 with basalt stones because that was the cheapest thing I can get.
Yeah.
Which is fine, but you got to go source them, and then you make, you know, your scape out of that rock. But then eventually I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna get some dragonstone, right? And then I decided to change it to the dragonstone scape, and then I kind of had half and half, and it wasn't all that good.
That's a good point.
Right?
Mixing, see, even when you mixed wood and rock, I was like, like you use the right kind of wood. Like I don't think, in my opinion, unless it's a very large tank, I don't think you can. Not that you can't. I don't think it looks as good when you mix seiryu stone and, like, let's say the Mopani wood I use, because it's like fat wood and blocky rocks.
Right.
But Manzanita, being that stick figure, does contrast to like the blockiness of the rock. In a really big tank, though, I think you can use bigger pieces of wood because it's to scale, I guess. I don't know if I understand why it looks correct. I just know, like, oh, that looks okay and that one doesn't.
Right.
It's a scale factor, maybe. Like, too many blocky things just looks like there's no water left or something like that. But, yeah. In general, I think you're on the right track of, I think it's easiest to use a bunch of one aquascaping thing, whether it's all this type of rock, all that type of wood,
all the same substrate, all that kind of stuff.
And it's even done when it comes to plants. Like one of the most popular things is like, look, it's all the same plant. Looks good. Like you can use for me, I feel like any plant you use, as long as it's all the same one, will look good. Like if you're just like, oh look, it's a sea of Anubias or a sea of normal baby tears. Like it just looks good in a big pack that looks lush and grown well. And I think it's partially because we don't see it that often. So just anything like that will look good.
Right.
I'm trying to think of something that wouldn't look good. Maybe like 70 banana plants wouldn't look good, but even still now I'm going, I'd like to see that. I bet that'd look kind of cool.
I don't know. I've seen 70 banana plants in a tank at your
warehouse. But they wasn't scaped and they didn't all have the lily pads at the top.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's not a fair, like,
well, it wasn't scaped. It's true. They're just in there.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, I've seen it.
But
it was just a bare. It's just a bare bottom tank. So
yeah,
it's not
like
hills
and all that kind of stuff.
It could be cool. It could be cool.
But even like I can fall in love with
throw
60
banana plant tuber in there.
Balls.
A little tuber action.
Yeah, moss balls even. But someone was asking, and I know we'll get some super chats here in a sec. Someone was asking where they could source like extra large driftwood for a 220-gallon tank. The tank's 31 inches tall, and I'm having some trouble finding wood that large.
For a 220?
For 220, big old.
Can't imagine that's too difficult to find. I mean, I have driftwood in my 240. Should be pretty realistically easy to get. Depends on where you're at.
Like my store
If
has
you happen to
pretty big
be,
pieces.
yeah, you have pretty big pieces. I mean, first of all, it depends on where you're at, because if you're anywhere near Tom Barr in California, just go over to his house and
Yep.
give him money, and he'll let you root through his pile.
So the other aspect is like manzanita-driftwood.com or something like that.
Manzanita Burl Works.
There's a few of those
Yeah,
sites.
is the one I
basically.
like. That's the one that
Yeah.
I've always used. Those guys are cool.
You track one of those guys down, and you say, "Hey," and I've done this before. I need a 6 foot to 7 foot piece. It can't be larger than this. So like I had one in the tank with Murphy where I think it was like 5 foot by 3 foot by 25 inches tall. So it was actually a little bit too tall. I had to cut it a little down a little bit. But we ended up having to send like 3 pieces because it fit in the box. And they had to send it via Greyhound bus. So it's not easy to get a hold of, and it's a lot of work, and you got to wait for it to come in, and there's like you got to pick it up, and it took a van to move it and stuff like that. But you can get that stuff. It ain't cheap, but that's why I think it's not laying around. Like people always like, why don't you have more of those giant pieces at your store? I'm like, because there's only so many 6 foot giant things you can have laying around in the
just
store
flopping around
that
all
are
over.
pokey, you know, and we put them way up in the rafters, and either A, no one saw them, or everyone would be like, oh, I'd like to see that. And you're like, it weighs 72 pounds. It's a giant thing.
Yeah.
It's not something we just, roll around with. So I would look online and just contact them and go, hey, how much is it? And typically what they'll list them as like a show piece, I guess. That's the size, I think. They will list dimensions, but usually on those websites, they list them as show pieces. And I think that's just code for, are you willing to spend $400 to $500? Great. Click on this category. And then you can pay shipping on top of that. But you do get pieces that are wicked cool. Like they are huge. Mm-hmm. But, it was a comical time. I had this wieldy box that I think it was 8 feet long, 4 feet wide, and 3 feet front to back. It might only have been 30 inches because it still fit in my van. But they wheeled it out of the back of...
People wonder who I was texting. I was texting Jimmy.
Oh. They wander out of the back of the Greyhound station with this thing, and it's like teetering on this cart. And after I paid and signed all my thing, they're like, all right, there you go. Mm-hmm. And it's so, like, not bottom heavy, but unwieldy. Like, it wants to tip at any moment, and there's things poking out of it.
Oh, yeah.
And so the entire train/bus station is just like...
Potential for mayhem.
What is this guy doing? What's in that box? Because it's bigger than a refrigerator, but yet it moves because it's lighter than a refrigerator. Like, this guy, is he wicked strong and he's moving it on this cart? Or, and then I had to like flop it over into the back of the van in the front of the place with the hazards on. And you could tell that didn't go on very often because giant box, everyone's, what is, not a single person, you're at a train/bus station. So no one actually approached me and asked me anything because you don't do that at the train station. You get stabbed. You don't ask people questions.
You don't go asking questions, huh?
Not with a guy that's moving a giant box around like it's, not like it's nothing, but it's like, that box is way too big for it to be moving with one person.
Right.
And I was like, can I get a hand? Because the cart itself was like 24 inches. And so it's like 4 feet and like, one of the stumps lands on one corner and then like one's in the other. So it's like
all super wonky.
It's super wonky. And they're like, no, sir, sorry. Once it's outside of this barrier, I'm not allowed to touch it. And I was like, oh, it's going to be like that, huh?
Yeah.
All right, cool.
I did name your tank, by the way.
You named my tank?
Yeah.
What did you name it?
I named it the Bog of Eternal Stench.
It doesn't stink. How dare you?
I just named it that.
Bog of Eternal Brown.
You've seen Labyrinth, haven't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Named it after that.
All right.
It's
My
the
wife
bog.
will like that. Melamoogle, I believe, with a super chat. Where'd that go? Now that we addressed where to get to Big Woods.
Where'd that go?
Have either of you heard of Wabikusa style, and what are your thoughts? Yes.
Yes, we did a whole show on that, actually.
We have. It was podcast only, I think, though.
No, I think it was video. Was it a video? Or maybe it was podcast
The problem
only?
is we were recording it all as video,
I don't
even
know.
though it was, some of them were, because it was
Yeah, it's hard to say.
Wabikusa, paludariums, and terrariums we did.
I think, yeah. Yeah, we did a whole episode on that. I love Wabikusa's style. I love the process of putting them together. I don't like the long-term process of maintaining them, though.
I like when other people do it.
I like it when other people do
I've
it.
done it, and I'm like, cool, that's neat.
Like if you go to, there's a Facebook group called Aquascaping the World. That's run by Brian Murphy, my homeboy from like YouTube and stuff back in the day. This one of my homies, my OG homies. He's out of Boston. I'm sure he's lamenting the Super Bowl loss today very strongly. But if you go to Aquascaping the World, they have tons and tons of people on there. I think that group has like 40,000 people in it or something crazy like that. So if you go on there, there's just example after example of a bunch of cool people doing really cool stuff. And like I said, my long-term, I like to set up wabikusas and then look at them for a minute and then go like, that's awesome. Okay, we got to make it into something else now. Because I don't want to come back to this thing every day because it's got 3 gallons of water in it and it's evaporated and now the water's weird. I just don't like maintaining them personally.
That's my big problem. It's not the maintaining. It's that I'm like, sweet, look at this thing. I can only imagine if fish were swimming around it.
Right.
Like that's, I end up just like, I'd rather just have a fish tank.
Yeah,
So,
like temporary fish.
but I'm always, if I ever go to someone else's house and they have it, I'm like, oh, that's super cool. But I know at my house or I'd be like let's say we had
like-
one right there. I'd be
it's
like,
like if you had a
why
pet-
isn't that just an aquarium? It's better.
It's like if you had a pet tiger. You know what I mean? Like, I'd definitely go check it out. Like, oh, awesome. You have a tiger. Like, I don't ever want to have a tiger at my house. Like, I'd never, like, what?
I'd say wabikusa and tigers are the same danger level as well.
Pretty much. Yeah, exactly the same. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or
But
like
no, I do
more
like
like a
them.
parrot. Like a big, like if somebody had a big fancy parrot.
Good
You know,
point.
yeah, you'd
I'd
be like,
definitely be
"Oh."
like, I really want one of those, but
Like, I knew a
no
guy
way
who
I'm
had
getting one.
I knew a guy that did falconry with the owl.
Okay.
Like, he had a big barn owl. You know?
And you were just like,
You're like,
I'm
"Oh,
Corvus Oskin. I could have an
cool."
owl.
And I was like, cool. No way.
Yeah. Cool owl. Cool owl.
That's a cool owl, bro.
Yeah. Cool whip.
Whip.
Yeah. Cool owl.
Whip.
See, you thought I was saying cool owl, but it's actually just one word. COWL. Cool owl.
Cool owl.
Yeah, cool owl.
Cool owl.
It's like
It's Aboriginal.
Kauai.
Sounds like
Koala.
Aboriginal.
Koala.
I got some Hawaiian coffee yesterday.
Hashtag koala.
I'm excited.
If I was a better person, I probably would have brought you some back. I think
Yeah.
I just brought you chocolates
I
instead.
get macadamia chocolates. That's
Yeah, but
so good.
I think at that point, I knew you liked coffee, but I didn't realize you were like insane coffee.
I'm not insane for coffee. I'm insane for eating Anubias roots.
Oh, all right then.
Cray cray.
Mark Naneman. Want to scape a 55 to 75 gallon planted tank with volcanic soil substrate. But for $3 a bag, not 30. Can this happen? Any alternatives out there? I can think of one way to do it. I don't know that's going to be $3, but I can think of one way.
What do you got?
My go-to, if I was like trying to save ultra money, I would go to Home Depot and I would buy the lava rock bags that you would like, this is going to offend like half our viewers because I've been marketing to grandmas for so long. But when you're in a retirement home and you're like, not a retirement home, a like senior living park, and you're like, man, I ain't mowing that lawn. Let's turn our lawn into a rock garden. And then they
Right.
lay down infinite lava rock. You take that lava rock, and if you smash it with a hammer a bunch, and then hose it down to get all that debris out, you could make smaller pieces of...
You can actually get that at the landscape.
You told me that, and I said I wanted to go see it, but I haven't seen it one yet. Like, you just have the best place.
Vicky and I drove past that rock yard on Saturday when we went out to deliver some chickens to a family that needed chickens.
Well, so first, if you have a rock yard and you can go buy it by the pound, do that. But if you have a Home Depot, which most people have a Home Depot in my opinion, I think you get I don't know what it is, 20 liter. I don't know what the bag size is. It's like $5, and you can smash that down, wear eye goggles and a lab coat, and then use like a cartoon-sized hammer. I find works best, and whittle that down. Your family think you're insane. When's that rack going to stop? But I think you could make a fair bit of gravel out of a 5-pound bag of one of those. But they are real muddy. Like you definitely got to rinse them really well because they'll bleed that red lava dust stuff for quite a while. So I would that's how I would approach it if you couldn't. Like I still want to, and well, no, it'll be Sunday. Is the rock yard near your house, or is it more going towards like you went to Polsbo or something, right?
Yeah, you go that way.
So my question is, I'm not gonna have time on Sunday, but next time I'm going down to your house, should I try and go there, or is it like, no, man, it's way out of the way?
It's not way out of the way. It's not far.
All right,
it's easy to go.
I do want to escape with that stuff.
It's like 15-minute drive.
I want to replicate that scene from Mad Max. No, from my Hawaii trip.
Oh yeah.
So I want like
we
all
could
the
definitely
crushed
do that.
lava and lava rock and all that kind of stuff. So yeah.
Let's see. Reggie Holland was asking, and this is going to be kind of fun. He's asking me specifically, so I wrote it down here. Reggie was asking for a 14-gallon Fowler tank. Which, if no one knows what I'm talking about, that's fish only with live rock. So this is a saltwater aquarium. He's asking, what fish would I put in there? Right? What fish would I put in there? Well, I would start out with a couple of rock anemones. That's what I would go with, just to get a little bit of a color moving little buddies in there, because you could do flower anemones, and they're pretty affordable now. I think the last one we got was only $30 for the bright orange.
It was like a bubble tip, or
it's a rock anemone, so they're flat. They're not bubble tip.
I don't know this thing.
They're
I
little
just
guys.
Assumed.
They're cool. I'll show them to you later.
All right.
They're really cool. Or you could look them up.
Jimmy could pull up a rock anemone.
Yeah, rock anem. Those guys are super cool, so I would get that. And they're not really in the realm of coral and stuff like that. You can they don't need a ton of light, and they'll move around and find their own cool spot.
Do you have to like target feed them like other anemones?
They're really easy to feed with like reef roids. The powdered reef roids.
Yeah.
It's super easy to do. You don't
I
have
always
to target
assumed
feed them
those
like
were
crazy.
actual coral. I always assumed they're like just a wicked good mushroom coral.
Basically.
Oh,
but they don't need a ton of light, but they'll move to a spot.
Are they like other ones where that center is
so they're
their
not
mouth?
they're not stationary. They'll move.
Yeah.
To where they like it.
Do
so
they have the
maybe
center mouth?
if you're like, I don't want to get corals because I don't want to have to worry about the lighting situation,
Yeah.
flower nem would be a thing that you could add. That would be like, oh, he'll find a cool spot. Whatever.
Yeah.
They'll find the cool spot where they want to be. So they're kind of fun, but maybe you don't want to do that. But that's what I would do.
Right.
Just something that's going to filter a little bit of fines out of this, how small this tank is. It's a 14 gallons, pretty small. So I want something that's kind of moving around and eating some dead stuff. And then I would, what I would do is I would get 2 of whatever the kind of nicest blennies that you could find. There's so many of them. There's like right now I have a Clausewitz blenny in my 180, but it just kind of locally you're going to be able to find which blennies your local shops are going to have. So I'd probably get 2 of those, and then I would get a pistol shrimp and a pair of Watchman goby. That's what I would put in a 14-gallon like that. That's going to be the most bang for your buck and the most excitement going on, because the blennies will be moving up all around. The pistol shrimp will have its own personality and be shooting its gun off every once in a while. They'll be digging around, tunneling down low. The Watchman gobies will be down there, and they'll constantly be relocating. So one week they'll be on this side of the tank, and then they'll dig around, and then next week they're popping up over here and stuff. So that's kind of what I would go for if I was going to do that small of a
pistol
Fowler
shrimp
tank
pairing. Just every time you talk about it, I'm like, God, I gotta have that.
It's so awesome.
One of these days, we have to design a system where I don't have to change water like once every 6 months. Like, I really hate mixing salt water, like bad.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I could just pay my way, like, so let's say there's me, and I hate maintaining
You
a
don't
saltwater
have
tank.
to do water changes. That's the thing. But you do have to replenish what's getting used up. That's the key that I think most people are confused on. That's the whole reason for
Can
doing
I auto dose that, or do I have to test and then add appropriately?
Well, it would be good to test because then
Right.
you know what
I
you need to be
understand
dosing.
What's good, but
Yeah.
from a practicality, like I know I love to automate in my schedule, and I know that I would start the first 6 months, and I'd be like, yeah, I'm on it, I'm doing it. And then
It slowly
I would
starts
be like,
to-
well, I'm not as into it, so I
Right.
dosed it like once this month instead of every week like I was supposed to, and so I'm just thinking like if I know I'm gonna fall down that rabbit hole, how do we set it up from the beginning? And like, should I build like, let's say I was gonna do this, which I'm not saying I am, but if I was gonna build it, should I buy a tank, drill it, build a sump, all that, or should I just be like, sweet, I'm just gonna plop down the $1,500 or whatever it is and buy like a Red 34 system, and then add on the parts I want after that and just commit to like I'm gonna spend $3,000, it's gonna look cool, and I'm gonna do minimal amount of work, or is it like you're selling yourself on a pipe dream, buddy?
It really depends, but it really depends, like, realistically, which direction you'd want to go. I've always found it to be most effective to kind of build your system to accommodate what you want it to do, because there really isn't necessarily, like, an all-in-one package that, like, you know what I mean? I'm sure you've tried to, like,
Well, even when I was
I'm
doing
gonna get this tank,
like
right?
a BioCube,
Yeah.
all of a sudden it's like, well, I need a Remora skimmer, and then I'm gonna, I could get mangroves growing on the back. I need a light for that, and it just was.
It's better to just buy the parts to the system and then put it together the way that you want it. So maybe you'd buy a cabinet that's the way you want it. Maybe you'd buy the tank that's the way you want it, the sump the way you want it. It's like, I specifically want this marine land sump or something. You know what I mean? And you're like, that's the one that works really good, and get all the parts, put it together,
right.
and then go that route. But then, it basically boils down to like, so you can actually be somebody who doesn't do water changes in your reef ever. This is something that people always like, if they hear me say it, they start freaking out. But
Right.
if you're going to run your tank and like never do water changes in it and only do top offs, you just basically have to go, I'm never going to do a water change ever.
Right.
Ever.
I can adhere to that.
It's just like, it's one of those things. Like, we'd get people that would come in that are like, they didn't do a water change on their system for like 5 years, right? And then all of a sudden they suddenly did a water change, and they're like, everything went crazy, everything was going great, and then I did what I was supposed to do, I did my water change, and you're like, when was the one? Wait, how many water changes? All right, back it up, let's see what's going on here, what happened? And it was like, well, I didn't do any water changes, I figured, and then I got back into it. And you're like, oh, so things were going fairly well until you changed something. You're like, okay, yeah, so you can go that route. It's a little bit a nuttier route, because most people are like, I don't understand why you would jump into it and go that direction.
Right.
But there is a possibility that you could do that, yeah. As long as you're just auto topping off the water all
With
the time.
RO water, right?
I mean, it's and the system is running properly, and you don't have like something that has a bunch of salt creep somewhere that's removing.
Well, that's the thing. That's the other thing I hate is when everything just gets crusted in salt. Can you design a system that, like, I've seen like everything's got a rubber grommet and stuff like that, but I feel like any system I've ever been a part of, I'm like, it's still everything's covered in salt.
Yeah, it's pretty easy to do that.
All right.
I mean, it's not super easy.
Right,
but
right.
Yeah.
I mean, if your goal is I don't want to deal with salt creep, you can just design everything to.
Yeah, you just have to set the levels, make sure everything's like operating properly. Salt creep comes from things not operating properly.
Like just a spray and stuff, right?
Like I have salt creep on one spot, and it's the only spot I have salt creep happening. It's because I'm like, yeah, whatever.
Cool.
But that's from actually the bubbles popping. They come back up from where the main drain comes down. Bubbles come back up, and then they pop, and it just slowly is sending moisture out that way. But I'll fix it.
So Mr. Sunmaid says, best age to start breeding guppies? Fish, not human. So, like, what's the age of the guppies? I would say as soon as they'll start breeding.
You can't stop them.
I mean, I think
you can't stop them from
get them as young as like 2 months. They'll start getting pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
Like
2 months,
if you
3
don't
months.
separate them. So I would say,
I mean, yeah, I guess the only way to stop them would be if you separate them
early on.
really early.
The younger they are, the less of a drop they'll have. They might only have like 5 babies when they're super young.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know that there's a reason to not start early. Like I don't think that, oh, if I don't start breeding them till a year, they're going to do this or that. I think it's just, I would just start at the beginning because it makes sense for me.
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't found a reason not to, so. A super chat from Aqua Fuzzy. Newbie scaping my 20-gallon. It's a mishmash of Java Fern, Anubias, Water Sprite, Dwarf Sword, and wood. It's meh. Any tips for finding inspiration? So my initial thing is
YouTube?
Yeah, but I feel like you can waste a lot of time on YouTube where you're like, my first thing is, what are you trying to do? So like we were just talking about saltwater. If I just hop on YouTube and be like, what are the coolest looking saltwater tanks? That's not realistic what I'm going to pull off. Like, so for me, I think finding someone locally that is doing what you want to do is the best inspiration. So like I always get super jazzed up when I go to someone's fish room and they're breeding a lot of fish and I'm like, yeah, I want to do that. I'm so pumped. Whereas if I watch a video, I don't get as pumped. So in person and talking with the person and picking their brain, that really does it for me. And so you've got kind of a mishmash thing and you got, some low to mid-light plants going on. My question is, are you trying to make an Amano aquascape? If so, scrap everything you're doing, invest a lot of money, and let's do that.
Right.
Or do you just want to plant a tank that looks relatively decent, and could you find someone else that's getting that success and then learn from them? And the good thing about plants is, if you make a buddy and you're like, oh man, sure do wish I had some of that red plant right there. They're like, oh really? Here.
Yeah.
And then you're like, sweet, I'm going to try that. And you go, oh man, I killed it. And they're like, oh really? Huh. All right, what went wrong? Oh, that's where you went wrong. Here, try again.
Yeah.
Like that's the benefit. Whereas, like let's say you did go onto YouTube and you're like, oh sweet, I'm going to copy that. I'm going to do what that guy's doing. You might find out, like, I watched this happen for years. Everyone wanted to plant with pogo stem and hellfry or down eye here. Our water's crazy soft. That's a hard water plant. And I just watched people keep just like, oh, it's melting, it's dying, it's melting, it's dying. And no one wanted to harden their water to what it needed, even though they're watching tons of people have success with it. Tons of the country has hard water.
Right.
So, it's really nice. If you can find someone local, hop on a Facebook group, hop on a local club. I mean, if you can't, you can't, obviously. But that would be my main inspiration. My main inspiration is seeing other people's setups in person. And that it's really infectious on me. So much so that if I go out to eat and there's a koi tank at the restaurant, I'm like, oh man, why don't I have koi in a tank? That looks so cool. It doesn't matter what it is. I pretty much fall in love with everyone else's setup. And I think that it might be a fault of everyone, but it's definitely a fault of me. I always love what other people have more than what I have because I get to see it every day. So I'm going, oh, man, I would love to have that.
Yeah.
And vice versa. People go, oh, I'd love to have what you have. And you're always going, it's the same thing for me. Let's say you get a car and you love that car for the first 8 months. And then already you're going, oh, but look at that car. Oh, look at that. Your eye starts wandering because you've sat in your same car in traffic every day for 8 months.
Right.
And you're like, well, what if this next one was slightly different? And so what you might be explaining is either A, maybe your scape doesn't look that good, but to someone else, it probably looks amazing. You might just be bored with your scape. And that's where you end up with multiple tanks and just doing different things. So it's hard to diagnose, but my inspiration definitely comes from walking into someone else's house and going, is that a wabikusa? Why don't I have wabikusa? I should be doing wabikusa.
Yeah, why don't I have wabikusa
it
all
literally
over the
is
place?
that way with every single tank. So much so that in my mind, I know, wait, you love that because you don't own it. once you own it, you might not love it. And that's why I
Right.
still don't delve into saltwater, because oh man, that's so cool. But then what if in 8 months I'm like, yeah, the pistol shrimp's doing its thing, I guess.
Yeah.
You know, and yeah, so it's easy to get wrapped up in things, I guess, is my point.
Well, you know, the easy way to stay interested in a pistol shrimp is make sure you can view the bottom of the tank.
Like from underneath?
Mm-hmm. You can go see all of his crazy caves, tunnels.
That'd be fun. It's like an
Very
ant farm.
interesting. And then you can find out if your watchman gobies are trying to breed.
What if you built... No, I don't think that would work. I was like, what if you built a false back and filled it with substrate? Could you get them to like do it so it's like an ant farm? You could watch it.
No, because they go low. They go down to the bottom.
Yeah. All right. I was trying to make a really cool ant farm.
You could if like, maybe if you put like, yeah, I don't know. I'll think about it. I have an idea, but I don't want to vocalize it because then somebody will go do it and
Yeah,
they're like,
that'll be wicked cool.
everything died.
Yeah.
Or
Or yeah,
something.
or yeah, you that option either. A, it was really cool and you should have done it, or B, you killed everything and you're a horrible person.
Right.
Jeremy MCD McD.
Mickey D.
Jeremy McD.
Mickey D.
I think it's funny when people use a lot of hardscape, but as the aquascape grows, it all disappears in the plants. Do your research. Yeah, I'm big on. I tend to polarize. Either I go tons on hardscape, and then minimally on the plants, or a lot of times I'll just go all plants. Like one of my favorite aquascapes, if you can call it an aquascape, is just look at that tank. It's completely filled with Vallisneria. Like Jimmy, pull up Google like Vallisneria aquarium, and there's always like one that like I fall in love with, where it's literally like front to back to the top, and I think that's one of the coolest looking tanks, because I know how much the fish will love it, and I would love to see the fish peeking in and out.
Oh, yeah.
So like, yeah, there's a bunch of those, like that one right in the center. It's almost like corkscrew valve. I look at that tank a lot. Yeah, like that thing.
You don't
I
have
always
any
think
corkscrew valve.
I don't have any, because it's a little bit harder to grow, but I love that look. I love that super duper dense look. One person locally
That's really cool.
really had, his name was Paul, and he was a saltwater and freshwater guy. He had a 180 where each side had about 1 foot of valve growing to the top, and then like river stones and African cichlids in there, and they would spit so many fry, and it looked so cool.
Yeah.
Like, I love that setup. I recreated it once on a small scale, but I realized because valve gets so long, it really did need like a 180-gallon tank, and I tried to do it in
Right.
like a 55. So it was like,
Yeah, it's
oh,
not
the
good
scale's
enough.
not right. It looks okay, but I really love it when it's that super jungle, like, oh man, I got to see the fish today. Awesome.
Maybe.
Yeah, I love that look. So, you know, we're recreating that at the shop right now. I used to have that tank. You can see that tank if you go look up like I think it's my Vallisneria video on my channel. We had a
Okay.
75-gallon that's filled.
I'm gonna
with
go
just,
watch. I'm gonna go watch that
just
right now.
neon tetras. And
Oh, not me specifically.
Val. You're not?
Oh, I was gonna watch it right now.
Oh, okay.
That'd be weird though.
That'd be weird. But I love that tank. So, yeah.
It's a cool tank.
Let's see. We have any more super chats I missed? I'm scrolling through. We're at the bottom. People are saying, go saltwater, Corey. Yeah. Someone said it's called the grass is greener syndrome. For sure. I mean, most people experience that with most things in their life, whether it's their
Right.
job, their house, or keeping up with the Joneses, like whatever you want to call it. It's that lust for what you don't have,
Right.
instead of appreciating what you do have. You know, like, why would I even consider setting up another aquarium or getting more fish when it's like, you have a store, you have all this. Like, you out of all the people that need more, it's not you.
Right.
But yet, that need is just as strong
You
in me as
need
someone
more
else.
tanks.
Yeah.
Like-
It's weird that whether you have 500 tanks or 5 tanks,
Well, yeah, there were a bunch
The
of people
need
that
is
were
the
upset
same.
that you like didn't, or that you like took down some tanks and replaced them with different tanks, and then you have like less numbers wise of tanks now.
I
Like,
would
there were a
say
bunch of
I'm
people
getting
were
more
upset with that.
enjoyment out of it, though.
Right.
So it's kind of, you know, like, how could I say that? Like, maybe you can eat like one plate of food and your options are to eat one plate of your favorite food. What do you need? Food?
I need that peanut butter cup, or I'm gonna freak out. I'm
You
staring
can
at
eat a
this too
plate
long.
of food that is your favorite food, or you can have one bite of your top 100 foods. Like, I think that's just strictly worse. And that's where I was at, is like, yeah, I got to spend 1 minute each day with each aquarium I owned.
And you never got to actually eat dinner.
Right. You just like sample. Well, now
Right.
I get to sit down, and you guys maybe have noticed this on my Instagram of like, I've been posting a lot more videos. That's because I'm sitting in front of the tank going, look at this thing. It's doing a thing.
It's doing
Cool.
a thing. It's doing an awesome thing.
Where before it was like, well, I still got another hour and 10 minutes to feed. I better keep feeding,
Right.
you know? So that's where my game has changed, you know, in terms of like, oh, it's just different for me. And people, here's the thing. People assume I won't change. Give me a year and a half. We might be building a whole nother facility. Why? Oh, I decided I need more fish tanks again because I'm an idiot.
Well, you know, who's to say that we're not going to build a giant facility somewhere that has 500 tanks in it?
Yeah, I mean, you don't know where the future takes you. You just know where you're at right now.
Exactly.
And I've rebuilt several times. Like when I moved here, when I moved to the place before this, like to me, it's really fun to get rid of a bunch of stuff. Because then you're like, well, I've got all this free time, and you get to search out a bunch of new stuff. And so it's a good reason to switch up what you're doing. You know, like if you were gonna move, you could totally change the aquascape. Where it seems like a lot of work if I was just gonna do it on a Saturday afternoon. But if I had to tear it down anyway, now's the time to do it. So yeah, there was a super chat I think we missed here. Plants for a salt or brackish tank. Brackish, I'm convinced no one in the world is well versed on brackish plants. That is publishing articles and being accessible.
There are a whole bunch of resources, actually, for halophytic plants is what you're looking for.
In aquariums? Because I ask everyone, and they always say, like, yeah, Java moss, Java fern, all that stuff. And I've never been successful. I watch schools that I work with not be successful.
Oh, I'm sorry. Is there a bunch of people doing it in aquariums?
Yeah.
There's not a lot of people doing it in aquariums because I don't know why. Laziness? I don't know.
Yeah, so I haven't found good documented sources of that. Of like...
But if you
have
wanted
an
to do like a
aquarium.
really cool brackish tank, just do mangrove trees.
Sure.
That'd be dope.
Yeah. That to me does work. I have done it. But I'm not well versed in the brackish. So that's why I was going to lead into
So,
saltwater plants.
You'd want to search out halophytic. So Jimmy, if you want to Google search halophytic plants, it's HALOPHYTES.
Is that halophyte?
A halophyte is a halophytic plant.
Yeah.
That means it can uptake fresh water or up to a salinity of 0.0013.
So there's one.
So there's some right there. There's some. That's actually some. I think that's seagrass is what that's the common term for it. That one is like a cucumber-ish looking little guy. I forget what it's called. I'm not great at naming them off of
Salty cucumber.
It's a salty cucumber.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of halophytic plants out there. The last time I checked, but keep in mind that the halophytic research basically really started in 1994 is when it really started
So relatively new.
ramping up. Well, it's relatively new, but let's remember that. Let's see, what's 2018 right now? So let's do some quick math.
24 years.
Oh man, that's 24 years. Somebody would be full grown if they were born in 1994. I bet there's people in the chat that were born in 1994. But people have been hitting it fairly hard, and I recall last time I looked at the registry, there was over 2,200 plants with 2,200 plants that have been classified as halophytic, and I think there's like 12,000 species that are hanging, waiting to be actually fully classified. So they're identifying a ton. So there are a bunch of options if you wanted to do a brackish tank. It's just no one's really marketing them. They're not really being marketed.
And they're probably not fully testing like we know Anubias can live underwater and Crips can live underwater, but in the wild they're seasonal, type of deal. So it's like they might not be spending a ton of time going, oh, well, how long can this stay
Although
under?
if you have a halophytic plant from near the equator, they're not really seasonal. They're sort of just
right
running the gambit. So that's what I would look into if you wanted to do a brackish planted tank. But I would also bear in mind that a lot of these plants will need to be emergent instead of fully submerged in a brackish tank. But that definitely does leave a lot of opportunity for, building what's normally called like a raft, where the plants can grow on and then their roots can come down, which almost all brackish fish are going to want that. That's the environment that they're going to want to be swimming around in. So it actually kind of does go hand in hand if you were going to be making a brackish planted tank, if that makes sense. That the fish are going to go in there and they're going to want to be in that space. So that's what I would look into if that's something that you're going for. But I would also remember that there's not a lot of people that are marketing towards that. So you're going to have to probably do some identification in the area that you're in, and you, like you were mentioning, you might have to wait for the proper season. So like somebody was mentioning they're from Maryland earlier. Maryland has a lot of shoreline in it, and it's not too far to drive to the shoreline to go harvest some stuff, but you're probably going to have to wait until July for certain, for enough stuff to be growing near the shoreline, and be able to find them, locate some of them. So it would be cool. Yeah. The fish loft is yelling about fungus or algae. Saltwater plants do not exist.
Well, I'll take this time to tell you I don't care. If you would like to argue protists versus algae versus plants, I'm sure there is some other channel that would like to argue that. For sake of argument, I just call it the easiest thing that the 5,000 people that are going to watch this are going to understand.
Right. Proper nomenclature, which is why I'm not like talking about Latin names of stuff. I'm like, I think that's a seagrass.
There's always people that want to make that argument, and it's like, oh, I'm here to prove a point. Like, cool. Go launch your channel and prove that point. I'm here to make it understandable for everyone listening.
Right. We're trying to build a community and reach out and help people.
That's why we say bata instead of beta.
Beta.
Or
beta.
beta. Yeah.
Beta.
Bata.
Beta. 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 Beta.
So Joel Hernandez, my angels, rams, and platies. So I'm guessing that's angelfish and rams, not angel rams, because that's a longfin ram. And platies have been laying eggs and giving birth a lot in the last few months. What am I doing to make them breed, or is it luck? I think for me as a breeder, if you set conditions reasonably well, like you change, well, not even that you change water. Let me back that up. You keep water that doesn't diverge from where it is a lot. So it means pH doesn't swing, nitrates don't get super high, we don't build up ammonia, we don't have a lack of calcium. Like, things are stable, I guess. And in some systems that might be a lot of water changes, some systems that might be no water changes, but I guess a stable system with enough food that the fish puts on fat to make eggs and be able to reproduce. That's how I breed 99% of things I've ever bred, is like just create an environment that is conducive to them not being stressed out. And usually the reward will be like, we're at least mating and making babies. Whether those babies raise up, that might take some work, but the actual art of breeding them, I find, is get them comfortable. Some people got to use triggers to spawn corridoras and that type of stuff. I've always just been like, let's make them crazy comfortable and feed them a ton. And then they tend to, quote unquote, perform for me. Like, they breed and do their thing. And there are ways to trigger and do stuff like that. But I find, I've watched a lot of people also just be like, well, I don't get it. I've done like 700 water changes in the last 10 minutes, all colder than they like, and they're not making babies. Like, well, maybe they're just stressed out,
That's true.
So I'm not saying it doesn't work. I'm just saying that's how I approach it. So it sounds like you've made a good environment. The fish are going, hey, it's awesome to live here. We should make more. Like to me, that's how I read it, is like, oh, we're making more. All right. Yeah. Probably deserves, a pat on the back. You made a good environment.
Yeah. I would say that's like pretty much the way I go for it too. I mean, nature will figure it out. Mm-hmm. If you make them comfortable, they have enough food and the parameters are pretty correct. I've only had limited success with like triggering spawn and stuff like that. So I just kind of, not necessarily like, did I ever like just stop focusing on it? I never made like the honest decision. I just kind of stopped doing it because I was like, I'm putting in a lot of work and, they're probably going to breed anyhow, so.
Well, that's a good thing. The expectation of like, if I try really hard to breed something and it's not breeding, I feel let down and disappointed. Where if I bought a fish and my goal is to make a good environment and then I might be rewarded with fry, somehow it's not like I'm watching the pot waiting for it to boil. It's like, oh, just the tank hasn't gotten seasoned enough or it's not quite right yet. And eventually they will do it, So like I guess my mind turns to like, this is a very long-term thing, like just like my plecos and stuff like that. Like I already know I'm in it for a long time. I want to keep this fish because I like the fish. And if I'm lucky, someday I'll get fry. But if I bought them and like, you need to produce because I need the money to buy the next thing, I look at it going, oh, you're so let down. How dare you? And that's the wrong reason to be keeping fish, at least the way I like to keep fish. So.
HDJC86 was asking, is RO unit discharge considered brackish? Could you do anything aquarium-ish with it? Well, you'd have to test the salinity to see if it actually was brackish. But seriously doubt it. I've never really seen it. I've never really seen it to be brackish, but it is possible where you could be at that you could maybe
I've seen it a couple of times.
have enough push off.
Some people.
I mean, there could be enough salt in your water already.
You'd have to have saltwater intrusion. Usually it's on a well system.
Yeah, usually it's a well system near the ocean, near the shoreline somewhere where you have salt getting in there. But realistically, it'd just be like hard water is how to explain it. And you can do a lot of aquarium stuff with it, but you will have to test it to kind of figure out what it is specific to the area where you're at. Because it's going to be different for everybody, whatever the wastewater that's coming off there. The easiest thing I do with the wastewater from an RO unit, which I don't even really operate one anymore, find it just kind of be a waste of time, was just water the garden with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's basically like more mineralized water.
Yeah, give it to the chickens.
It's got a higher concentration.
Give it to the chickens for drinking water. Stuff like that.
I mean, long term, like in a dog or something, it might lead to like, oh, there's way too much calcium intake.
No, not chickens though.
Well, they need tons of calcium.
That's
why I didn't say
calcium.
Chickens.
Yeah.
Like you feed them basically like oyster shell. It's
Right. I wouldn't
feed.
give it. I wouldn't give it to the dogs.
Right.
Nice,
cool,
clean
human water.
tap water.
Yeah.
Regular tap water.
So Denise Little, I don't know which one.
Lydell.
There's no D in there.
I'm just saying things.
Can plants grow in a substrate of Carob Sea white sand, or do I need to add something under the sand for more nutrients? I would say the answer is they can grow.
Which plants?
Well, there's that.
Yep.
And there's, and growing is a loose term. Like how well are they growing? How easy is it? I'm not sure that adding something under there for more nutrients is necessarily going to be like, oh, I went from they weren't growing to now they're amazing. I think you might be able to go from like they were growing and now they're growing 25% better. That type of thing. Mm-hmm. But I think what happens to me or happens to some people is like you get this thing in your head, you're like, oh, well, someone said sand isn't good for plants. And then you stew on it and you're like, wait, that one time I lost a plant, is that because I had sand? And you get this thing in your head like, I got to switch out the substrate. The reality is, it might be like, okay, you got to drive 100 miles each way to go to work. And then someone finds out like, wait, you're driving a minivan and you only have one person? That's not nearly as efficient if you bought like a 2-seater commuter car. and then it's stuck in your head.
Like a sweet Miata with a rag top.
Like, you know how much money I'm going to save by driving that more fuel-efficient car? Like, well, wait, but the new car is $12,000. It's going to take you 14 years to recoup that. Like, you'll never save money. And I think this is that instance of, like, you got a tank. It's got sand in it. If plants are growing, you're probably good. If you were going to move and do a whole new aquascape, all right, sure. Let's think about buying something better. Or if you're setting up your next tank, maybe you buy something a little more plant-friendly. But for right now, I would probably just rock what you got. Would you swap out entire substrate?
Yeah, I would.
You would?
Yeah, because I'm a baller.
Yeah. See, I if you were getting plants that were growing,
I would just focus on using water column feeding type plants.
For sure.
So a lot of stem plants will do that. A lot of Ludwigias, things along those lines. That Scarlet Temple that's back there will actually feed from the column. A lot of things will feed from the water column. A lot of things will actually take in through their leaves. Most people don't realize that. There are a lot of plants that you could definitely do within that system and not worry too much about the plants and what's going on. One of the easy ways I would definitely recommend that instead of switching out that substrate would be, I don't know, call somebody like Corey from Aquarium Co-op and get some Easy Green, and then you can just dose it in there once a week.
Yeah.
And super easy instead of changing out your whole substrate, because then you're just kind of dosing the water column there, and you'll be fine and dandy. Most of your plants will pick it up just fine.
I think unless you were doing like, I gotta have a dwarf baby tears card.
Yeah, there's some
a little more.
There's
like,
some really
technical.
fine technical plants that might be a pain to deal with, but otherwise, I think you'll be relatively fine, especially if you have it already set up and cycled and all that kind of stuff. You'd just be putting in a ton of work, and it would be easier spent like ordering a bottle of fertilizer from this guy, because you'd already have to order some new substrate. So
I'm a big fan.
How much is like a bottle of Easy Green? I don't even know how much it is.
$20.
It's $20. Well, there you go.
I don't know if they said the size of the tank, but like $20 treats a 55-gallon for a year.
Well, there you go. That's what I would do personally. I would just get Easy Green from this guy, and way easier.
Yeah.
And if somebody's Aquadan's asking product placement, not really. We're just answering a question, but that's what I would personally do. I mean, one of the big reasons for that is that all of the other fertilizing systems I've used cost way more than $20. That's why. Even when I was doing EI dosing, when I was doing dry ferts, I tried Seachem's line for a while.
I feel like EI.
I tried a bunch of stuff.
I feel like EI, it was like $42 with shipping to get started. Because you got to buy like plant CSM plus
I think
B,
mine was like,
and then a few other macros.
I don't know. I think mine was like, I want to say it was like $90 when I got started.
Suppose it depends on how much you're buying, where you're buying it, and at what time period. Because they've come down in price. And
yeah, it's true. I have no idea now, but I think at the time it was like $90 or something like that.
There's definitely more people providing more dry ferts now, but even still, because you got to buy some things. I mean, and maybe there are some packages where people are like, look at this, you can just mix up these bottles and do these things and whatever. But yeah, side tangent of, I wouldn't change the substrate. I would just rock what you got.
Yeah, I would rock what you got.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're asking my opinion, that's what I would do.
I mean, a true product placement would be like, no, you should buy Aquarium Co-op Super Sand off my website instead.
Oh, yeah.
That would have been the better.
Certainly.
That would have been the better product placement.
Oh,
you have a problem? Solve that problem with giving me money.
I have a question to answer here. Then we have some super chats to get to.
We do.
But we will have to get to the word of the day.
Oh, the words.
It's going to be very important.
Yeah.
Oh, because today's Waitangi Day in New Zealand.
Waitangi?
Yeah.
What is that?
Well, today is Waitangi Day in New Zealand.
Yeah, I'm asking what is that like?
I think they won something. Maybe their independence, maybe?
Okay.
Where's Gillett?
I wasn't sure if like Waitangi was
Where's
like an
Gillett?
animal.
He's the
Is it a
only New
fruit?
Zealander.
Is it a...
It's Waitangi Day. It's like President's Day or something.
Yeah, but there could be like Pie Day.
It's a holiday.
Like
it says right down here.
Maybe they call Pie Day Waitangi.
Jimmy, we need help.
What's Waitangi?
What's Waitangi
How do you
Day?
spell Waitangi?
Oh, there it is, right there.
Oh, there it is. What does it say?
National Day to New Zealand.
It's the national.
Maybe it's like their
the
4th of
signing.
July type of
Is
deal?
it their 4th of July kind of thing?
Of the treaty.
Independence Day. It's their Independence Day?
I believe so.
We'll have to ask
Bill
Gillett.
Paxton's going to fly over there and... This is our day! Oh, sorry.
We'll have to see if he's going to light some fireworks.
Here we go. We had a question from John Gonzalez, and I want to answer this real quick because this is a good one. He's asking, can I use water from the ocean?
I'm going to let you defer to this, then I'll give my input.
All right. Yes, you technically can use water from the ocean. But if you are going to use water from the ocean, make sure you're going way out into the ocean and collecting it yourself. Because one of the biggest issues that comes from using water from the ocean is that we collect it from, guess what, really close to the shore. And really close to the shore means that's where the peoples are. And where the peoples are generally mean bad news for adding something into a very small system like an aquarium. Locally here, I'm getting there. Locally here in Western Washington, you can go to the Seattle Aquarium and you can get what's like a debit card. And you can go there and you can fill up your buckets from like a gas pump, basically. But it's a gas pump that shoots out salt water. So for doing water changes in your saltwater system, you go there, go down to the aquarium, you pay them, I think it's 15 cents a gallon or something like that. It's really cheap.
Now. Someone was telling me.
Either way,
I've never done it.
It's really cheap. But here's one of the big problems. In Western Washington, where we are, and where the Seattle Aquarium is in Seattle. Now, what happens in Seattle a lot?
Rain.
'Tis raining. What happens when it's raining? It washes all of the car exhaust, oils, car oil, all that kind of stuff, smoke, whatever, the exhaust, all that brake dust, all that kind of stuff. Well, it all washes right down into the Puget Sound when it rains. And the water that they're getting from the Seattle Aquarium is actually pumped from the Puget Sound into the aquarium system at the Seattle Aquarium. Now, don't quote me on how much their water volume is. I don't know. It's hundreds of thousands of gallons worth of aquariums there, so it's not as big a problem for them. But if you're to go down there and get, say, 100 gallons and you're going to put it into your 200-gallon aquarium, well, you've taken a lot of polycarbons and all kinds of brake dust and nonsense that are going to be going into your aquarium. And I've seen a lot of people that were using that system here in Western Washington completely crash their reef tanks. And then they had to figure out what it was. And they were like, oh no. Yeah. So you can, but you just have to be harvesting the water from like where you're not near people, essentially. So, which becomes problematic because then you need like a really big boat, and you're like, well,
we're gonna need a bigger boat.
We're gonna need a bigger boat. It's our shack. It's our shack. It's the reef shack. So it's not a great system unless you're doing something. I just don't think it's
like a saltwater pond.
It's not beneficial. Yeah, if you're doing like a saltwater pond or something. Yeah.
All right. LG3 Nation, you guys are the best. Thank you for the great show.
You're welcome.
And I don't know if you were still in
It's my pleasure to be here.
I don't know if you were still in the chat last night, but I asked him, and he did not land that fish store job.
I did hear that part. I did hear that part.
Bummed out for him.
I was bummed out.
We're rooting for you, buddy.
We're double bummed.
Yeah.
I was bummed.
You want to hit that word of the
Corey
day?
was bummed. Somebody super chatted about the word of the day, so we have to get to it.
All right, well, we'll get to it. Joseph Costa says, keep it up, boys. Are both of you going to Peru? Are there still spots available? So, one, at this point, Joel is not going. Two, unsure if there are spots available because it depends on if the other people that are going want to have people. It's a little awkward when you're inviting people you don't know and you have to share very tight quarters. And then, yes, so the answer is unsure. But there are some people we are trying to get to go, like Joel here, possibly Vicky Toria, possibly Dean. I mean, there are some people, but you can't bring so even if we were to yes, we are bringing 2 people from the internet, that just starts a giant fight of well, take me. Right. Even if we're oh, you got to pay for your own stuff, if there's 20 people that want to go, we're going to disappoint 18 of them.
That's right. Yeah.
So it's kind of well, and at the same time, what if those people are weirdos? And I'm not saying you guys are weirdos, but you guys are weirdos. Collectively, people you don't know, it's strange,
Collectively, people we don't know are weirdos.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Just like the word of the
They're
day.
just weird to us. So, So that's why it's like if we know you personally. Okay, if we know you personally.
If I know you personally, you probably still can't sleep in my hotel room.
True. That's probably a true statement. And yet we're all going to be sleeping in very tight quarters. So, but if we know you personally and we see you on a, like, not a daily basis, but we see you in person and you really want to go and you're willing to pay, it would be appropriate for you to say, like, hey, is there room? Because then we can be like, oh, yeah, let me look into that. But, like, random email, like, am I going to do that with this person? And are those people going to take my word this guy's not a psycho or this girl's not a weirdo?
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of weird. So
yeah. And just as a quick reminder here, everybody that's live right now that may have missed the beginning of the show, as this uploads, you'll be able to check out both of the tanks that Corey and I did, and you'll be able to vote on them. So once this uploads, you'll have to come back and scope that out real quick. And anybody that showed up late and went, hey, did I miss the tanks or whatever, they'll be permanently embedded into the internet. So you'll be able to check those out.
Internet.
Right?
Yes.
Internet.
Lisa Jobs with the $7.77 super chat on a Tuesday.
On a Tuesday.
And it says...
What does it say? Does it say this? Characterized by a violation of what is sacred, grossly irreverent toward a hallowed person, place, or thing. Does it say that?
Not in that voice, but yes, it did say that.
What did it say?
Her voice sounds different.
Did it say that? What did it say?
It said... irrelevant.
That was yesterday's word of the day.
Oh.
Sacrilegious.
That's sacrilege.
All right, so today's word of the day, and I don't know how to do this.
You gotta, so we'll remind everyone of the rules. Do you think the internet knows this word? If you do, then you read the description and people try and guess. If you already know, like, this is a weird word, like whatever, like divers was.
Divers.
Yeah. And then you just go ahead and say the word, and then we say the definition because it's a weird word.
I think if I say the definition on this one, because it's the definition explains it really well.
Are people going to know that word?
I don't know if people are going to know it, but it's Waitangi Day.
It is Waitangi Day.
I don't know if
well, it's up to
anybody
you.
knew
You
that.
make the call. You want to go?
All right, we're just going to have to read it off because I think if I read the... This is one of those definitions that it's sort of in the definition.
All right.
All right. So it's a verb, right? And number one, to settle judicially. Two, to act as a judge.
Okay. I can take a guess at the word, but I want to give some people in the chat a chance.
To settle judicially, not judicially.
Oh, wait, maybe it's not.
To settle...
I know what I'm writing it down. I'm going with...
Judicially. To act as a judge.
Wait, to act as a judge?
To act as a judge.
I've got my word, and we'll see if it's right.
Yeah. To settle judicially.
So we've got justice, arbitrate. Oh, adjudicate?
Adjudicate. There it is.
Adjudicate, yes.
Mandolin, FSU. Mandolin.
She got it?
Mandolin from Florida State University, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Mandolin, FSU, got adjudicate really quickly. She must be in...
Me and Tampa Bay Tom are on the same level. I went with judgment as well.
Oh, no.
I went judgment.
It's adjudicate, you guys. Both parties should ask the state Supreme Court to hear the case directly and adjudicate it fully on the merits.
Dang, I was not good on that one.
Oh, I wish tomorrow's was today.
We could do it.
All right, do you want to do a round 2 word of the day?
Or do we want to save it? Let's just do it. Let's do it.
All right, we'll do a round 2 real quick. We'll do a round 2 real quick because I like this word.
All right. Is it? All right, you just do what you're
All
going to
right. It's an adjective.
Okay.
And the first definition of or relating to a sensory threshold. This is the first Definition, of or relating to a sensory threshold. Definition 2, barely perceptible. Barely perceptible. Definition number 3, relating to an intermediate state, phase, or condition.
My brain hurts. I'm sure this word could be used to describe that somehow.
Of or relating to a sensory threshold.
Read the other ones again. I might have it.
Number 2 is barely perceptible. 3 was relating to an intermediate state, phase, or condition.
All right. I've got mine written down. It's probably not right, but I've got my guess.
I haven't seen anybody come up with it yet.
Unfathomable, threshold,
See, by now
Precipice.
somebody's gonna Google search it.
Yeah, subconscious, minuscule. I'll give mine now. How about that?
You ready? What do you got?
I went with sensitive.
No, wrong. More specifically, Malka pointedly locates the design in the liminal zone between public and private space.
Liminal?
Liminal.
All right. Did you know that word before today?
Mm-hmm. I thought it was number 2, barely perceptible, as like a small area.
Liminal.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I get the limit part. Is that
Liminal.
limiting of the...
Let's see. Did you know the noun limen refers to a point at which a physiological or psychological effect begins to be produced, and liminal is the adjective used to describe things associated with that point or threshold, as it is also called. Likewise, the closely related word subliminal means below a threshold. It can describe something inadequate to produce a sensation or something operating below a threshold of consciousness. Subliminal.
You always forget that, like, a word like subliminal, there's a word without the prefix
I have no
there.
idea what this word is.
Well, we got to save that. That's getting too far ahead. All right. Well, that was a good time.
That was fun.
Michael Augustino with a $20 super chat
Who got liminal? Did anybody get
I
it?
think Jimmy put it in. Little
one got
Largemouth
it?
said liminality.
Somebody limnology. Yeah, that's close.
The study of liminals.
Mm-hmm.
Michael Augustino says it's time for Let's Play Fill in the Tank.
Oh, we playing fill in the tank?
Yes.
Yeah,
Maybe
fill
that's a
in
new
the tank.
segment.
What's my parameters?
Parameters are, for both of you, 180 gallons,
180 gallon.
4 plants,
Okay.
4 to 7 fish, temp range 74 to 78, oof, and
70
a pH of 6.5.
6.5.
And is it? I'm guessing it's 4 to 7 species of fish.
4 plants.
Yeah.
4 to 7 species of fish?
Well, it just says 4 to 7 fish. I don't know, because it's a 180 gallon tank. What if you choose like neon tetras? And you're like, yeah, 4 to 7 of those.
I know what to do. Galaxy rasboras, bristlenose plecos. Those would be my 2 starter fish. Then I'd add a feature fish. Some kind of beta. Some kind of fancy wild beta. And and then what do I gotta think of here?
I'm working on plants still.
Plants is easy.
Oh yeah.
I will go with betas. And then I don't know what the 4th fish would be though, off the top of my head.
I'm working on my fish.
Oh,
right now.
pandagars.
You're a savage. You sir are a savage.
Because they can be in that pH and they can be in that temp. The beta could be in that pH, be in that temp. The rasboras and the bristles would all be fine. So that's my 4 fish. That would be super fun. That'd be a fun tank. Because I'd have the bottom feeders. I'd have the free swimmers. I'd have the beta who just go anywhere. And then I'd have the schooling Galaxy rasboras. Plants, I would definitely go 16 different kinds of Anubias, probably. All of them. Except for Frizeri. I'm not allowed to have that anymore. There are rules.
I need a giant school or something. I got a miniature school, but I need a giant school. I got to think of it. Ooh, yep.
A turducken, maybe? Turducken would be cool. 180 gallon.
I got it. You need time for your plants? I can run down my list.
Yeah, run down your list. I'll do
Pencils
mine.
down.
Pencils down, everyone. All right, here's what I got. I've got
Easy, bros. Easy.
dwarf chain sword carpet.
I already have that.
Did you?
No, I already have that in my 240.
Well, yeah.
Get out of here.
Anyway,
You're just reciting my 240.
yeah, dwarf aquarium lily.
Oh, see?
A lot of water lettuce with long roots.
Oh, cool. All right.
And I figure on wood or rock or something like that, a patch of bulbitis.
Okay.
So yeah, kind of a low carpet, a red plant for some flair, and then stuff coming down, and then what's that right there? It's bulbitis, right?
You get some glosso. All right, so should I do my plants real quick?
Sure.
Go Glossostigma elantoides.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be my carpet.
Okay.
Then Caufolia and Hostifolia anubias, like real big.
Okay.
Let those go robust. And then in my middle ground plant would be something red, probably like that Scarlet Temple and maybe some Amania gracilis or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's 4 to 7, right?
It was 4 plants only. You've been
4
disqualified.
plants only?
You've been disqualified.
Shut your mouth.
You even took
You
notes.
said 4 to 7.
Ooh, I forgot about the temperature, so one of my fish isn't going to make sense.
Yeah, well, you suck.
I do suck. All right. My fish choices.
I've been ruined by a technicality.
Yes, I got ruined on the technicality too. The temperature.
Yeah.
I remember the pH. I was going Apistogrammas cockatoides.
Cool. They need to be
But
warmer,
they need
though.
to be a little bit warmer, yeah. So I was like, okay. Then I was doing red
Although
arc.
I've got mine at 76, and
It
they
can
don't
be
mind.
done, but really, had I been thinking about the temperature more, I would have chose a different fish.
Yeah.
To be honest, red arc pencil fish. We didn't say that we weren't rich because they're $1 billion. What's their problem over there? Oh, your crotch is
I
buzzing.
was wondering who was.
Yeah.
Bzz, bzz, bzz. It was me.
You're buzzing. And then I would go with a dollop of flagtail haplocats, kind of like I've got in my living room tank, because I like those.
Those are cool.
And they're going to tie in with the rummy nose tetras. So I got stripes mid, stripes down low, and I got my little cichlids doing their thing in their planted paradise.
That could be cool. That'd be good.
That's what I would do a 180 like that. I mean, I'm not that far off. I didn't do rummy nose tetras or the red arc pencilfish or the cockatoides, but I do have dwarf cichlids and the flagtails and the dwarf chainsword in my 230. But that's what I would do. What'd you do for fish?
I already said them.
Oh, I was writing my stuff down. I forgot.
I went with the Galaxy Rasboras because I want those. I want those real bad. Then I would probably go with some kind of specifically weird beta as my free roaming kind of fishes.
Yep.
So if I had 4 to 6 of them, like some of the cool wild betas, I don't know. I just have to find out what realistically what the wet spot has.
Yeah.
Locally around here, it's like what kind of weird fish they got this weekend. Then the Pandagaras.
Yep.
And
A Peruvian shark.
I would go with probably bristlenose plecos as my
That's
kinda,
true. I didn't put any alligators.
my
there. It's gonna
roamer-
be a
my roamer
cesspool of
cleaners.
algae.
My little roamer
Yeah,
cleaners.
That's my bad. But what can you do?
I don't know. I thought it was 4 to 7. 4 to 7.
Oh yeah, I could have put more, but pencils were down.
So 4 to 7 fish, but 4 to 7 fish, but only 4 plants.
That's what it said.
All right. Well, I can't limit myself on my plants like that. I can definitely limit myself on a fish. I think everybody knows that at this point. I have like a 180 with 1 fish in it at one point, driving people crazy.
We got $2 from Danny Lugo. That's just it. It said, Joel, did you trim up the beard lately?
No, I need to trim it really bad.
Oh, all right then. Yes.
I was actually going to trim it tomorrow. I was thinking about that this morning. I was like, man, it's getting haggard. I'm gonna trim this thing back.
I think I left that comment, or I sent it to you privately, or maybe it just only happened in my head. I really expected in your aquascaping video when you were holding the tweezers, like, look, they do the thing, that you would just be like, snip, Like a
Oh,
little
you
bit of your
posted
beard?
you posted that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't think of it at the time.
Yeah.
It's too cold in there to think about trimming
Yeah.
my beard. I was like, grow.
You probably weren't even opening
wanted my
and closing
beard to
them
grow.
intentionally. It was just so cold, like your hands were like shaking, so it looked like you were doing that
Cold
move.
in my shop.
Yeah. Megan Ness, did I miss the word of the day? I'm sure you posted that before we did the word of the day, and hopefully you are satiated with the words of the day. You got double word of the day. Maybe we'll save them up, and people can super chat, and we'll do extra words of the day. Like maybe it's $5, because I don't want to spend all day talking about words, because it exposes my limited vocabulary.
There's a lot of weird noises on this show today, I'm telling you.
And
Just things landing on the roof.
Yeah. Jimmy's
Things
chair
buzzing.
was
My chair sucks.
Jimmy's chair
Christoplasm.
made a weird noise.
We're
Like,
trying to get, another Secret Lab chair, but Secret Lab hates us. Hashtag secrets.
Oh.
Secret Lab.
I don't know if you saw, I was talking about you on my show yesterday.
I didn't watch it all.
I was talking about my
doing
show. I was
something.
talking about you on my show yesterday, and Candy Overhaul's posted in the chat
All right.
that I have a show on Wednesday, Monday,
Yes.
and Friday.
Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
And I was making a joke that like, man, we're in the striking distance of the Aquarium Co-op now, because it passed 9,000 subscribers,
Nice.
which is pretty cool. Took us 10 years to get here, so we're trying to get to 10,000 this year, so that it could be 10,000 subscribers in 10 years, right? So I was just saying, I was talking about you yesterday. I don't know if your ears were burning.
I think I heard that part.
I was
But
like, I was in striking.
what, I'm trying to remember what I
We're
did.
now in striking distance of the Aquarium Co-op. I'm telling you.
Oh, I know what I had to do. I was like, something took me away from the live stream. At that point, I had to proof all the videos.
Oh, cool.
So
That's a good
it's
reason.
really hard. Like usually I'll turn people down really low, but if it's anything where like we did, it was an unboxing I was proofing,
Mm-hmm.
and the sound was a little bit weird, so I had to cut all the sound, actually listen to it, going, okay, what went on here?
Right.
So
yeah, that's cool.
normally I can do 2 at once, but it wasn't gonna work out. Live beardscaping, I lose.
Do some live beard scaping.
Yes,
That'd be
good.
weird.
Weird or good? Ooh. P-Town wants to stock his 220 with Pictus cats. That would be an awesome ball of terror if you just did like 18 of those.
It would be cool.
You couldn't like.
I love those
gravel vac.
Pictus cats, but they get so big.
They get big
They get
and they're
so
just
big.
like, "Yeah, I'm all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
They're, yeah.
I have to admit, it's super crazy. Almost every time I go to like Petco or PetSmart, I'm like, why do they have Pictus cats here?
Because
Because
they
they're
look
small
awesome.
and they're awesome. And I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, but they get so big.
I think the reason they sell so well is like, one, they grow pretty quick, so they're like this big.
Aw, now you got to get banned.
Goodbye to Squinty.
Oh, that's why we can't have nice things.
Yeah. I think they're this big, so they grow pretty quick, so they're cheap wholesale. But then their whiskers are that long, and people are like, yeah, whiskers on catfish. Yeah, I need that. And then they forget that like their mouth is like this big around. They're like, wait, they're eating my neon tetras. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, what can you do? What can you do?
What can you do?
What would you do for a
Let's
Klondike
see.
bar?
187 Ghost 187. That's a lot of 187. Wanting to set up an aquaponics system with tropical fish, what would you recommend? I was thinking guppies, but I feel like they'd breed too much and get the system balance. Well, it depends on the size of your aquaponic system. You actually don't need to limit the size of fish down to something like a guppy, but I would definitely recommend if there's like a market in your area for guppies, and just be that gangster guppy breeder in your area and be like, hey, all the local stores, I got this big aquaponics setup. Come on down here and get all the guppies you need whenever you want them. That's what I would do. Personally, my setup is going to be a little bit different at my house because I do have a video coming out at this at some point. We went to Pan America Corp,
Yes.
otherwise known as
Koi.com.
Koi.com, to check out some awesome fish there. I posted up a couple pictures or maybe just only one on the Instagram or something like that. I'm not sure, but I posted up a couple pictures. I do have a video coming out, but I will be doing koi in my aquaponic system. That's going to be the big plan for that one. So I guess just say, like, don't limit yourself to just some small fish, but I would be pretty jealous if you got this big breeding guppy system, because I can't really put any guppies in my system because I just have my 2.
They're trolling you, man.
She's about to give birth, man.
You've been saying that for 6 months.
I can't talk about it anymore. It's a sore subject. Where's my babies?
All right. Well, what do we got in the pipeline? Hashtag, we need to start this up. Hashtag Dean, come be on the show. We want to get Dean on the show soon. I've got a text out to the guy at koi.com because I think he's still in Japan and he judged the show. I don't know if he's back yet. We want to get him in here ASAP right after and be like, hey, man, what was the real deal? Who should have really won?
Right.
Even though he'd probably be like the winner. But I will say this. This is for everyone here. The people that say, Hikari food's not that good, like that's their personal opinion.
Mm-hmm.
The grand champion of the All Japan show was raised on a diet of Hikari. Just saying.
I don't know who ever. I don't know.
People do. People love to hate on anything.
People like to just say stuff.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
I'm just pointing out that, hey, I'm not saying it's the best food ever. I'm just saying that there might be a lot of other factors like genetics and the way you keep fish and all that kind of stuff that lead you to a grand champion in the world, maybe more so than the food. I'm not saying food isn't important, but
food is important.
Yeah, it's not the end-all, be-all, and there are a huge gamut of food ranges. Like, I've bought bags that are $250 of food from Hikari,
right.
So, there's definitely tiers to it. The last super chat of the day, because it's 5 o'clock and we got plans.
We got stuff to do.
Wally Helium.
Mm-hmm.
My KH is 0 to 50. I'm going to assume that's parts per million. And my GH is 200 to 400. My numbers are coming out on opposite ends of the spectrum. Is that normal? Thanks, gentlemen. Well, I wouldn't say it's abnormal. It just, to me, says you've got hardness minerals in your water, whether that's like magnesium or calcium. You've got that in the water, but you don't have, what is it, bicarbonate? Is that essentially what is the buffering capacity of water? Carbonate, I think. It's not bicarbonate, just carbonate hardness. So you're missing that, I don't know what I want to call it, like the ions, I guess, the ions that make that up. You're missing that from your water column. Is it normal? I would say normally they go hand in hand, but at the same time, I'm not freaked out by the fact that your numbers are off out of your tap. I would say, you do your homework, you analyze what your tap water is, and you go, okay, so I got good minerals in the water probably of like calcium and all that. It's probably good. I just need to make sure I buffer my water up with a little bit of capacity, or do something like I do because I have nothing in my water. I just change a ton of water. Mm-hmm. And because I don't have a good way to buffer it, but maybe you just load up on a little bit of, I don't know what your pH is because it didn't say in there, but maybe a little bit of baking soda goes a long way, or a little bit of crushed coral might help. Like, that's the main reason I use crushed coral. It's not for minerals because it doesn't supply that many minerals, like in terms of calcium. But I use it for a lot of the buffering capacity over a long period of time. Keeps my water nice and stable.
Mm-hmm.
So, Jeff Rowe bringing up an important point. 471 people watching. 274 likes. So if you like it, maybe give us a like. And someone said, am I ever coming to Minnesota? I'll say this. Minnesota, I believe, Jimmy can correct me, has the Lee family there. Kang Lee and everyone he knows.
Mm-hmm.
That alone is a huge draw to Minnesota. If I am driving by that state within 1 or 2 states,
right,
I feel like I will stop there because his wife made us good food. He's great at hosting. I also had a ridiculous good taco while I was there. And they're the home of Twin City Guppies. And they have a YouTube channel. And they're the nicest people on the planet. And they made our life super easy and fun at the aquatic experience. So I feel like I owe them. Not that me showing up would be paying a debt, but I would love to take them out to dinner and hang out with them more because they're great people. If you haven't checked them out, check out Kang Lee. It's posted on my YouTube channel. I posted a video. They teamed up with their sister, and now she's doing the editing. And I'm not going to say it's at Jimmy's level, but Jimmy, watch out. For first video ever, you got to watch out, man. That video is good for a first editing ever of a video. Just saying, some crazy skills going on. So I don't know that I'm heading there, but I do want to go there. Like, if we do our cross-country trip again this summer or at some point, I want to stop by there because that family's awesome. So that's all I can say. You know, can't promise it, but I got a reason to go there. Where there's lots of states where like, are you going to here? I don't know. I don't have any reason to yet. Like no one's invited me. No, I don't know anyone there. So I can at least say, yeah, good work. Could do it. So thanks for hanging out. Subscribe to Joel's channel if you haven't already. We're getting him to 10,000.
I'm trying to get to 10,000.
Maybe we'll think of a way
It's
to
taking 10 years.
get him to Peru as well. Who knows? We'll see you in the next show. That's all I got. Buy all of our stuff. Patronize all our things. Share this with your grandma. Don't forget, 20 minutes after this, give us a minute because we got to post the poll ourselves. But give us a second. We'll post that poll the minute it's done rendering. Then we'll post that poll. We'll decide who the winner is. Is it chocolate milk brown tank or is it Krispy Kreme donut clear tank? Them's the options. We appreciate you guys hanging out with us for 2 hours. We know that's a huge time commitment, and we appreciate that you spend your Tuesday with us, and we are happy to spend it with you guys. Appreciate all the super chats, all the support in all the ways, and we will see you next time.
Yeah, thank you very much.
He's got a show tomorrow, 3 o'clock.
3 o'clock.
Most times I'm hanging out in the chat at least. If not, listen to the background. Make sure you show up, show some support, and as always, hashtag Flu Balls Trippin'.
Flu balls tripping.
Again.